Coming back. Welcome to another session of Tyranny of Dragons here on Forgebreaker. Tonight we are preparing to fight a blue dragon that we've been preparing to fight for about a month. But we've had some issues with people not feeling well and things of that nature, so we've had to postpone. But now we get all the excitement, so you guys get to enjoy that. We'll cover what's coming up in the upcoming week here, starting with Civil War. This week's Civil War will have both Alliance and Empire together, completing the rest of Season 1 of their campaign. As they go through, they are currently working towards taking down the god Tyrus and completing that storyline and getting to the end of this and bringing some resolution to the islands. But before they can do that, the Alliance has to be able to return back to the Living Isles to continue to help. So all that starts up tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, like all of our D&D games here. Then Fate will be here 10:30 tomorrow night, going to play Shadows of the Tomb Raider, I believe, the new Tomb Raider game. So he'll be live with that on Thursday. Friday is D&D replay, should cover most of the day. We are working on some details of an upcoming game that's probably going to happen on Friday too. Just kind of bear with us on that. We also have Ascension is this Sunday. Tyranny is back on next Tuesday. Next Wednesday is Giants, and then next Sunday is Fell Entropy. So hopefully you'll tune in for some of that. It's going to be a lot of games coming up. I'm going to check and see if they are ready here. You guys all set?
Don't require attunement anyway.
Yeah.
I believe so. Ruckus, you here?
Yes, sir.
Alright, cool.
Nice.
Alrighty.
You hear me all right, though?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
There we go. Alrighty. So, last session, you found yourselves deep in the lair of some Yuan-Ti. You found the leader of this tribe of snake-like beings holding on to who you had been seeking, Verum the White. She proposed a bargain with you. Leave and kill no more of her people, and she would give Varen to you. After a brief discussion, the somewhat exhausted party decided to take the deal. You retrieved Verum and left the tomb of Diderius. As you were exiting, though, you stopped again at the resting place of Diderius himself to retrieve Maximilian, but you were not answered when you inquired about him. It seemed that Diderius wasn't done with him quite yet. You left a note letting Maximilian know where you had went, and just in case, in the tomb, and exited. As you began heading back across the Serpent Hills, you tried to awaken Verum, but he seemed to still be unconscious from his treatment by the Yuan-Ti. You decided to retreat further from the tomb and then rest for the evening. The night brought rest upon you after the taxing trip into the tomb, but you felt stronger for it, as you all leveled up to level 9. The next day you came and went as you started your trip back towards the City of Splendors, Waterdeep, knowing that you needed to get Verum back so his information could be divulged to the council in which you were working with. You decided to take a bit of a different path on your way back towards the Tradeway, crossing next to the High Moor instead of heading back down towards the bridge village you had departed from into the Serpent Hills originally. This cut down on some time, but also did have its dangers, though you were able to make it most of the distance without issue. You did decide to finally awaken Verum and question him during your travel. You learned much from him, as he seemed pretty cooperative. You learned the names of the other worm speakers, Galvin the Blue, Neurovane the Green, Resmir the Black, who you'd slain already, the Red, who was also the leader of the cults. You also learned that Varen had divined the location of the white dragon mask he was seeking, with the well that was in the tomb of Diderius. It was no longer stolen, but had been reclaimed by the cult and was being held at the Well of Dragons. Some of you recall that the Well of Dragons was a volcanic mountain. It was a bit of a graveyard for dragons as they went there whenever their time to die was upon them. Verum also made it very clear that he would be cooperative. He would most certainly die if he returned to the cult for his betrayal, but he may survive if he cooperated with you. He answered all of your questions, though he was not forthgoing with information if it wasn't asked of him. As you finally reached the tradeway, you began heading north towards Daggerford and ultimately Waterdeep. The days went by uneventfully for the most part until you found a bit of an odd sight before you. 4 dwarves were escorting what appeared to be a high-ranking cultist prisoner bound in chains. You discovered that these dwarves had been working under the capture of the cultists, but revolted, killing all but their prisoner. After discovering who you were and who you're working for, they somewhat pleaded that you take the prisoner off their hands, though they would still appreciate a reward to compensate. You decided to do the council's business, as was right to do, and reward them for the trouble and obtain another prisoner to take back to Waterdeep. Unfortunately, someone else was looking for the prisoner. As the exchange was about to happen, ogres and a half-red dragon burst from the trees and attacked. The battle was somewhat difficult, but you were able to handle the obvious minions of the cult sent to retrieve this prisoner and slay them all. With the prisoner and the dwarves being saved from this attack, the dwarves even borrowed a chunk of silver ore to you, which Terra took eagerly. The journey continued northward as you approached and passed the fortress at Dragonsphere, heading towards Daggerford. After a few days of pretty boring travel, you spotted what appeared to be a woman lying on the side of the road, not moving. You hesitantly approached this woman, only to discover that she was nearly unconscious and was beaten and bruised severely. She seemed to beg for water as Analia approached. This elf bared wounds from weapons, as well as far travel through thick brush and trees. As you gave her water and Ignalia healed her, she was able to get her bearings back. You began to question her, and you discovered that she knew of you. Initially alarmed, she produced a piece of parchment that marked her as Silinestrial, a notable hero and ranger, one you've almost all heard of, and that she was also a hero of the Council of Waterdeep. She told you that she had been captured by the cult after going to the Well of Dragons with a large group of some 20 powerful adventurers. All of them had been captured or killed by the cult as they had greatly underestimated the force that lied at the well. Many dragons and large armies of cultists and fiends resided at the well, requiring the might of an army, at least, to stand up to them. After getting this information and deciding that Silinestrial should join you on your way back to Waterdeep, you found yourselves being covered by a large shadow. Your eyes all darted up to see a large blue dragon with a heavily armored red half-dragon riding it landing before you. The half-dragon hopped off the blue dragon and stared eagerly at Silinestrial and said, "Found you." And that is where we're going to start the session today.
Should have never jumped off that blue dragon.
So as you all see this large blue dragon in front of you with this heavily armored, well-built, moving very lithely, half-red dragon moving towards you. A long spear clutched in one hold in the other. Definitely seems like he knows how to use his weapons. He begins to walk towards you all. He says, "Surrender the elf, or you all die."
I will step in front of the elf and say, she's of no concern of yours anymore. But I didn't catch your name.
Important to one about to die. And with that, he looks over his shoulder. Kill them. Roll for initiative.
All right.
Yay.
Oh, I didn't click my token. I'll do that again. Oh, god damn it.
Come on.
So,
Come on.
if you click on your token, but then you use the initiative in a different tab, like on a different screen, it still doesn't put you in the order.
That's
Interesting.
fun. Okay, so let's see. We're still missing you.
Still missing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You rolled what, a 10 for your first one?
10, yeah.
Okay. Everybody else was good, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Unfortunately.
That beefy 2 though.
Beefy too.
Alrighty, so as this half dragon looks mostly just contemptuously at you all, he looks over his shoulder, commanding this blue dragon that lowers its head down towards you, ready and willing to fight. Steve, you're the first to react.
I'm going to hold action until someone, namely Stone Skull, engages the half dragon.
Okay. So you're just gonna hold back there for right now?
Yes.
Alrighty. Stone Skull.
Yeah. Horse has a movement speed of 40. I'm going to move over here and do some attacking stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Swipe one.
All right.
Good
This
start
sounds-
to the night.
Start off.
Mhm.
All right. So natural 20 definitely hits. The 13, unfortunately, will not hit
All
though.
right. Yeah. So 26.
Okay.
Actually, I should have used rage before, but that's fine. I'll rage now, and that'll end my turn.
All right. So with that, Stone Skull takes off on his horse, kicking it into gear, darting around the party, moving up as he does so with this just charge that's going on from the warhorse before it even starts to slow down to lead him to the target. He brings Gleam Edge around, hitting this thing, this half-red dragon, right across its chest. It brings up the spear to try to stop the blow, but it has no chance. It shatters the spear and cleaves across his chest through this kind of studded leather armor that he's wearing, leaving a long red gash through him. He grunts in pain and looks up at you a bit surprised. And as you swing down again, he quickly sidesteps as he pulls out another spear from his back, ready to fight. But before that happens, this dragon looks over, seeing you move, and immediately opens and unfurls his wings and begins taking flight, hovering in the air for a few feet and repositioning over here. His head rears back as he discharges a long line of lightning. It is going to go straight down like that. Actually, he's probably gonna move a little bit because he wants to get everybody.
Didn't have to get everybody.
You can
Oh wait, I want
do
it
it
from the
from the
middle.
corner, yeah.
I want it from the middle. Damn it.
Do snap to the corner,
There we go.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
that.
What hit Steve to? Right there?
Yeah, misses Ignalia. Or that hits Ignalia but misses Terra. So you're gonna miss somebody no matter what.
Alright, we'll miss Terra. He's shooting it down this way once we get the closer characters. But inadvertently hitting Steve. So, Horse, Stone Skull, Ignalia, Silinestrial, and Steve saves, please.
What saves?
Dexterity saving throws,
Okay.
please.
There we go.
Your internet's a little glitchy, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been having issues with Discord for some reason.
Yes, the unnatural one.
I need to pull up the horse 1 second. The horse has to save too?
Yeah,
It's gonna die. I mean,
Probably.
even if he saves, it's gonna die.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks.
And he's not
But-
gonna save. So that's cool. We get to carry a wagon on Stone Soul's shoulders.
That'll be fun.
He's the new horse.
I think you mean on Mr. Pebble's shoulders.
Or Mr. Pebble's shoulders. You are correct.
Pebbles is here. All right. So we have oops. Philonestrial's got to stay. Let's see.
If Mr. Pebbles carries it, that'll definitely be rock and roll. Let it burn, okay?
All right. So she has advantage on those, and she actually gets another bonus, but it won't matter. All righty.
Guy didn't really want to talk, so
All right. So,
bye, horsey.
Philonestrial and Stone Skull save. Everyone else fails.
I'm taking absorb elements though.
So
Okay. So you
23.
go ahead and half the damage. Rogar, you roll. I think
23, and then
half the
half
damage
of
regardless?
that. So
Maybe?
I take
Yes.
11 points of damage. Cause raging.
Does raging.
Cause raging. But my poor horse is gone. Here, big
Yeah.
X.
Big ol' X. And we're gonna move it off the side just so we don't have it blocking the view. Alrighty. So as this beam of lightning is flung out. Actually, he did go taking off. Roll here. Let's see if we can say you. I need a D100. You want low. From you.
From me? Okay.
And I want low. Or you want low. I don't care.
Hey.
All
Just
right.
barely.
So, okay. So let's move this guy back over here.
Okay.
So as he's begins flying up into the air, lifting this somewhat large body up, he gets about 10 feet off the ground and then immediately shoots out this beam of lightning. Am I? That's a
Yeah, it's
Like
glitchy.
not bad, and then
Yeah.
it gets very glitchy for a minute, and then it
Mhm.
gets better.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me test something. No, my internet's fine, or at least my download is. Let's see what the upload is. I may need to do a network restart. It's been a couple weeks.
Sounds like when you try to talk to someone on the cell phone and they're like in a thunderstorm.
Right, it's like everything's dying, including my cellular connection.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not my no. No, I see. Yeah, no, Discord's freaking the hell out. It's moving down. No, I'm still running 8 up. I mean, that's not bad. I don't know.
Well, just be aware
Oh,
of
well.
it.
All right, so yeah, if y'all need me to repeat anything, just either type it in chat or let me know.
And right now
all
it
right.
sounds even better than what it has been all night.
Yeah, but now
Go
it's probably
figure.
sounding like
I
shit.
think it might actually be Discord.
I think it's
Oh,
Discord.
it might
Somebody
be
else.
Discord.
Yeah, somebody else said they're having issues with Discord yesterday. So
Never.
I wonder if
Forge
there's
was talking
things
right
going
there
on.
for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. So yeah, as this torrent of lightning flies down this line, hitting almost everybody in the group, it's just high enough with Forge being there, with Stone Skull and his horse being close enough that it passes right over, striking Stone Skull in the chest as he kind of dodges, leaning to the side, just glancing across his chest, doing a little bit of damage to him, but not a ton. But it actually soars over the war horse and hits everybody else back behind it, kind of tearing into the ground in front of Steve. So, horse is still alive for now. All right, and with that, this thing flies up into the air about 60 feet off the ground. Ignalia.
60 feet off the ground, huh?
If he's in the air... Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do my best to be intimidating. I'm going to move up to his left side. And I am going to go ahead and activate all of my stuff.
Okay.
Activate all the things. Oof. Back to back.
So I now have giant flaming angel wings.
They on
Okay,
fire.
yeah. So you sprout these fiery wings, and your body kind of encompasses with this radiant fire as well. You're shedding light all over the place and looking super intimidating.
Oh yes, this is as close to a solar as I can get.
Pretty damn close. Putting on a good
And-
imitation.
And that'll be my turn.
All right, so prepping for battle, just sprouting out, going full on, just righteous fury mode. Ignalia sprouts these fiery wings, her body just engulfed in this mantle of flame, and that is her turn. This guy, not a big fan of Stone Skull, but he's smart, so no, but he's still gonna go after Stone Skull, wanting to pay him back for that. So with that, this how's that gonna work?
How's what gonna work?
I'm trying to think. He can't really do that with you mounted. Yeah, he's just gonna reach up with his spear and try to hit you 3 times.
Okay.
25,
Nope.
9, 18.
Yeah, just barely.
Alrighty, so 12
21,
and 9
11.
would be 21 normal damage. As he catches you
10.
twice, his the end of his spear darting up past the horse up towards you, Stone Skull, and you see the tip of the spear right at the last second as it cuts across your flank and then cuts across your chest. The third one you're able to move out of the way of, but he's very, very quick and agile with these spear attacks, hitting you twice, but unable to take you out. And that's his turn. Celestestrial is going to take some steps back, not wanting to be anywhere near anybody in case that dragon comes back in. She just took a chunk of damage. And she is going to fire off 2 longbow shots at the half dragon. 22 will hit. All right, so one of her longbow shots, the arrow sinks into the red dragon's shoulder. He kind of looks at it and breaks it off quickly. That's Tara.
I'm first going to reach out and put an Aegis on Stone Skull.
Yay. -4.
Okay.
And my action, I'm going to rummage around in my bag and pull out a potion and drink it. And that will be a potion of heroism.
Oh,
Ooh.
fancy.
When did you get that?
I don't remember, but it's in my inventory, so I'm using it.
Somehow
good.
this ended up here. So yeah, you.
That awesome.
I think I bought it.
I think this might have been a random thing you got in Waterdeep.
Maybe. So I will be under the effect of the blessed spell for 1 hour and have 10 temporary hit points. And that will end my turn for now.
Alrighty. So, Age is coming off, the earth kind of rising up from the ground and swirling around Stone Skull while he's on his mount. And then Tara buffs herself up some more, knowing this is going to be a difficult fight, and drinks this potion of heroism, feeling her attacks and abilities growing slightly, as well as being able to take more hits. And we're back to Steve. Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
It's your turn.
I'm gonna charge up to the half dragon and stab him with my rapier.
Okay. How much movement speed do you have?
40.
40? Okay.
course, had 60,
25
not
hits.
40. I thought he had 60.
Or 22. Okay. What else?
Wait,
And
what was the
disengage.
pun? Did I
All
miss
right.
the pun?
So Steve moving forward, rushing up there now that some more allies are in the fray, and he's able to move up sneakily. He is able to move in and able to slip through the kind of chinks in the studded leather armor, getting a good stab up into his middle, sinking the rapier in fairly deeply, and then yank it back out. He grunts in pain, another bloody wound now on his side, but he is definitely still standing. Stone Skull.
Yeah. Time to start activating the blender.
Okay.
19 and a 15. This is to the half dragon.
Half dragon. Okay. Yeah, 19 will hit, 15 will not.
Okay. And +2 for rage because I didn't mark that. So 15
Okay.
damage on that.
15. Okay.
And do I want to do anything else? And he's marked as well.
Okay.
I forgot that on the last one too, but that's fine. He still attacked me, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, he attacked you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so matter.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Well,
Braves
hold on. I want to.
Oh.
I want to shift slightly up here.
All right, so you're moving up a little bit.
Yep.
Alrighty. So as you do so, striking down with Gleam Edge once again, the first attack able to solidly hit him, catching him right up in the chunk in between his neck and the armor, leaving it a decent gash into him. He grunts in pain once again as it sinks into him, but he quickly knocks your blade aside as you try to swinging it again with his own spear, knocking it away with a quick movement and unhit by the second one. This guy
D6.
is not going to have his breath, so
Nope.
he is going to. Seeing those guys spread out, he is going to fly down towards Terra.
Oh no.
And as he does so, he is going to attack Terra 3 times.
Leave her alone. Meanie.
So a bite comes in for 14.
Zorn.
I don't think that hits, but my AC is messed up for some reason. I just noticed.
My
My AC is 18.
my AC was messed up too. I had to just fix it.
Redo it real quick. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Do. Okay, claws. 27 and 27. I'm assuming nobody has that, so those.
Yeah, those will hit for sure.
Okay.
So I will take the 10. Hold on.
Yeah, my armor
Oh,
class
the
is messed up too. What?
Yeah.
Good
Jesus,
old roll
sorry.
20 update.
Mhm.
I know that 14's not going to hit. It's 2 hits, so I will take a total of 12 damage after my temporary hit points.
Right. Yep. So
Yeah.
you're 10 hit points. So you're pushing enough heroism, able to come in and run off of it. You see some kind of like arcane sigils that give you a little bit of extra oomph, disappearing immediately with the first attack, and the second one slashed across your chest, doing a good chunk of damage. This thing hovers in front of you, not quite down to the ground, but not moving away from you quite yet. Ignalia.
I will stab at the half dragon. Flameblade Covenant.
Okay.
Uh, 15.
Will not hit.
Very good. Yeah, screw it. Quicken spell. Do it again.
Okay.
19.
That one will hit.
Excellent. Oh boy. I'll dump a second level smite into this.
Okay.
Alright, so... Oh god, the math here is so difficult. 7 slashing. 7 slashing, 8 total fire. 9 radiant.
Okay.
Yep, 9 radiant. Plus 11 radiant. And that's it. There we go.
All right. Okay, so as you bring the sword around the first time, he brings the shield and interposes it between both of you, and your blade bounces off. And as he pulls the shield back out of the way, you see him grinning, this just wide, toothy grin at you. And with rage in your eye, you bring it down. Once again, you're able to score just across its chest, and the wound bursts with fire and radiant energy. You see the fire licking up against his skin, but not doing a whole lot to it. You see his scales barely even get singed by it, but the radiant damage definitely hits him as he grunts and pounds attention towards you.
Is he attacking Ignalia?
I don't know. He is.
Okay.
Yes, he is. Look at that.
Okay.
All right, so he's going to lead.
Yep, disadvantage on the attacks.
Mm-hmm. He will lead off with a shield bash.
Yeah, I
11,
think that'll hit.
Not the nat 20.
Disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Unable to gain purchase with that, he is then going to stab out with his spear twice. 14 and 9.
No.
Is it all attacks or just the first each turn?
It's all attacks. Any attack
attacks?
that's
Okay.
not targeted at me.
All right. So as he still has lingering wounds from Stone Skull, he's just unable to really focus on attacking, even though he needs to take you out quickly before moving on to the mounted target. He's just unable to get purchase on you. You see him looking around a little bit frustrated as he looks between both of you, starting to look a little bit winded as the battle continues on. Estriel, seeing the dragon right in front of her, is going to hop back a couple more steps and fire her longbow twice at the dragon. She's going to hit both of her attacks.
Ooh. Nice.
For 15 total damage. 2 arrows sink into the side of this blue dragon. It grunts and looks down at him, a little more annoyed than anything else, but it definitely took some damage from that. Terra, you have a dragon on top of you.
How far is it floating off the ground now, did you say? I know I
5 to
can't really
feet.
tell, but I can feel that it's right there.
Yeah, you definitely know it's right there since you got hit.
Alright, as my bonus action, I'm going to have Mr. Pebbles come up and attack it.
Okay.
Twice. 14 and 10.
Unfortunately, there is unable to gain purchase on the dragon.
And as my action, I'm going to cast First Step and teleport 60 feet away from that guy.
You can't cast Far Step because you used your bonus action already.
I can't use an action as a bonus action.
Negative.
Oh.
Yep, they're not interchangeable, unfortunately. You can retcon that since you didn't know that rule, though. The Mr. Pebbles attacking if you want.
No. I'll just change it. We'll stay in the rules.
Okay.
Instead, I am just going to twin spell haste on Ignalia and Stone Skull. Well, maybe not Ignalia. It's not Stone Skull. It's at 30 feet. I don't know where he counts as.
He's kind of in the center, so
Cast it on his horse. Do it.
I want you to, but
horse is so
I'll
much
say
faster
that That's a tough one, actually.
Well, I still have my movement. So here, how about I just move and then there? I'll cast it there.
Okay, yeah. Then you'll be able to get both of them.
And then I'm gonna brace myself for getting walloped by this dragon.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
where's my haste?
Hasted
Shit.
Stone Skull is
Scroll
terrifying.
wheel, no. Okay. So as Tara has this blue dragon bearing down on her, she quickly takes a few steps up as Mr. Pebbles marches forward, swinging twice at this dragon. You see its stone-like hands reaching up to hit, but just bouncing off the very thick and tough hide of this dragon, unable to do anything to it. And you slide around it and underneath it a bit as it's distracted by Mr. Pebbles and quickly hasten your allies to give them a little bit more oomph in battle. Steve.
I'm gonna step in and stab with the rapier again towards the half dragon.
Okay.
Okay. I'm changing tactics. I'm going for it, guys. I'm doing this thing. Watch.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
dear.
unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. I need a D100 out of you, please.
Wow.
Ooh, ouch. All right. So as you lunge forward with your rapier, you actually miss so widely that you leave yourself open for an attack. And he is going to use this reaction to stab you with a spear, or at least attempt to. 22 to hit.
At disadvantage.
Oh, at disadvantage. Yeah, sure. So yeah, 9 will miss as he stabs out towards you. Leaving yourself open, but you don't quite get hit by it. But your attack does miss.
They're welcome.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So Steve missing, almost getting stabbed by a spear, but the mark from Stone Skull able to save him from that. Speaking of, your turn.
All right, so going to grab the reins, pull back, and make the horse kind of lift up and turn in the direction of the blue dragon. And as I do, I'm going to swipe at the half dragon with Gleam Edge once. 14.
Will not hit.
Okay. I am going to move out of range. One second.
Okay.
Gotta move my thing. So it'll get an attack of opportunity here.
He just used his reaction.
So
Oh,
he cannot
that's right.
hit you.
That's right. And then since the dragon is somewhat close to the ground now, I'm going to take a couple of swipes at it.
Okay. 16
16
will miss, but the 28 will hit.
Okay. And I'm also going to use my action surge to swipe 2 more times.
Okay.
13 misses, 28, 2 28s. So 16 and 20. So 36 on the dragon. And it is marked, but the mark falls off of the half dragon.
Okay.
Actually, I want to move down 1 more here.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. So Stone Skull takes a kind of large swipe at this half dragon. Unfortunately, unable to gain purchase rather, and takes off, riding very quickly to the point where the half dragon can't even retaliate quick enough. Moving down towards this blue dragon that is now hovering closer to the ground, taking several swipes at it, but only able to land 2. But both of them digging into its flesh. You see scales ripped off from Gleam Edge tearing into it, doing a good chunk of damage
Also,
to it.
thank you, Gentleman Joe, for the host.
That
Very
being
much
said, it's
appreciated.
its turn. It is not a fan of being surrounded by people.
Mhm.
So it is going to disengage. Actually, it is going to turn to Stone Skull and attempt to bite him, then disengage.
Okay.
26.
Yep, that hits.
All right, so you take 21 piercing and 6 lightning for a total of 27 points of damage.
27, 23 and a half is 11. Got it.
Okay. digging into your flesh, you feel this kind of charged electric energy sinking into your shoulder, where it bites onto you very quickly before it rises up into the air, about 40 feet, 50 feet off the ground, rising straight up, and then spins another 20 feet to move up here to reposition itself. Ignalia.
All right, gonna keep pick right back up where I left off.
Okay.
A 26.
It'll hit.
Okay.
No, combat is fun.
Ooh. Oh god. 4 radiant total, 11 fire and 12 slashing.
Discord is not playing nice tonight.
How much total radiant?
15?
Typing it. Okay. 24.
Yeah, it's +9 from the wings and +4 fire from the mantle.
Oh,
Okay.
24.
And
radiant.
hasten, so I'll do it again.
Cool. Some good damage.
17.
17 will hit as well.
Well, would you look at that?
AC acquired.
Yep, so that's another 12 slashing and 12 fire. I will not smite on that second one.
Okay. Oops. Not 100. There we go. Okay. Anything else?
Checking really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Shit.
All right, that'll be it for me.
Alrighty. So as you bring your sword around twice, digging into this half dragon, you see it very winded at this point. You're able to hit it twice across its chest, digging through its armor. You see its armor now starting to look like it's just tattered pieces of leather across it, providing minimal protection, obviously, against your attacks. The flames, once again, not seeming to do a whole lot, but your attacks and radiant damage definitely are. You see he is very tired at this point, and his eyes are darting around, looking back towards the dragon, looking around him, not sure what he's going to do.
Well, he better hurry up and decide, because it's his turn. Here's somebody's dog. Whose dog is that?
I need Steve and Mr. Pebbles to make dex saving throws.
Ooh, nice dex save. Ooh, that's a good dex save,
And you
too.
both succeed
Nice.
as he launches out a fire breath. Dealing 24 damage, but 12 to succeeding. I think Steve takes 0, right? Do you have...
0.
Yeah. So Mr. Pebbles will take 12. So as this dragon seemed to be, or half-red dragon, seeming to be backed into a corner, he is going to reach his head back and shoot out a gout of fire to his south. And as he does so, he immediately disengages and runs 20, 25, 30, back over here, calling to the dragon to come pick him up, as he is outmatched down here.
That's cute.
Do I get an attack of opportunity?
No, he used his other action to disengage.
Okay.
But Selenestrial sees a weakened enemy. She's going to fire off 2 shots at the guy that's almost dead. Ooh.
Oh, no. It's that poor person.
Oh, dear.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Does the bowstring snap?
Oh, dear. Okay.
She did.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So, Selenestrial, in her weakened state after being exhausted from running from the cult and such. Just not quite on her game quite yet, but still trying her best to fight. Definitely showing her hero prowess alongside you, even though she is definitely in need of a week's long rest at least. She raises up her bow to fire off a shot, and as she plants her front foot to brace for the fire or brace for the arrow to be released, she slips on a rock that was under her, finds herself falling to the ground. She reaches out a hand, but unfortunately is unable to brace herself, and her head bounces hard off the ground, and she is now unconscious.
MVP.
Well, so much for the legendary hero there. All right, Tara.
I'm sorry, did you say legendary hero?
Well, she's not quite legendary, but she's a hero. Not looking like one right now.
Terra is actually going to shoot a Terra Burst about 40 feet in the air and have it explode right here.
Ooh. Make it rain these...
That should hopefully hit them both. I don't know how high he is because I'm blind.
A spear, yeah, it should hit.
About
A
50
spear
feet
should hit
in
it.
the air. So, even putting it in between both of them.
Well, I said 40. I'm going to shoot at 40 feet in the air, so it should be...
Yeah, it'll hit the dragon, but it won't hit the half-red dragon. The half-dragon, rather. So pick your target you want it to hit. You can't hit both of them. You can hit one of them with it.
The dragon.
Dragon, okay. All right, so this ball of fire flies into the air. It does not make it succeed, so it's going to take 20 points of piercing damage. So, what else are you doing?
And then Quicken Spell, Earth Bolt to the half dragon.
Okay.
Ooh.
And, 14's going to miss.
14 will miss, yes. All right, so Tara raises her arm up kind of in an upward motion, and as she does so, this flies up into the air, almost straight up from the ground. And then as it reaches kind of an apex, it starts to slow and then stops in midair, and then this dragon. The dragon braces and is buffeted by all these flying pieces of earth that gouge into its side. It takes a good chunk of damage from it, letting out a kind of a roar of pain, but still keeping its flight going. And then Tara quickly moves her other hand up and shoots this bolt of energy bolt of earth rather towards the half dragon. You see him kind of lazily stepping backwards, still got his wits about him, even if he is super weak.
And I'm going to move behind Mr. Pebbles.
Okay, seems like a smart move. Steve.
Steve can.
Chase after the half dragon, and I'm gonna need a.
Okay. Natural 20. 15 is not enough, unfortunately, so you will not get sneak attack. Oh, no.
What the fuck?
And another.
That's
Fail.
unfortunate.
Wait.
One more D100, please. This one isn't as bad. So as you rush forward, you see him holding his chest. He doesn't even seem to be looking your direction, so you think you have an easy attack on him. And as you lunge forward, he quickly darts his eyes towards you and steps back, bringing up his shield and knocking your... You see him looking down at you just very contemptuously, just scowling at you like you're a lesser creature as he looks at you with his spear raised. You will have disadvantage on your next roll. Not as bad. All right, Stone Skull.
Okay. Using part of my movement here, charging towards this guy, going to swipe 3 times. Or swipe and see what happens. So I hit him. 19 damage. Okay.
That will finish him off.
Okay, that would be my hasted attack. I'm gonna hold my primary action and move over here and wait for the dragon to decide if it's going to come down here or not.
Okay. All right. So Stone Skull quickly dashing over with his horse, seeing Rogar kind of leaving himself open after missing that attack. You see him kind of bracing himself to be hit. Easily comes up, and as he does so, he swings Gleam Edge around, slicing it right across the neck of this half dragon. It tears through his scales, opening his neck wide, and you see him grasping at it as he falls down in his death throes. Ooh. So as that happens, you see the dragon flying up, looking down at the half dragon now being slain. You see it looking around the room, or looking around the group here, and it flies down towards Silvenestrial. And with a lunge, with the movement of its head, it rears its head back and thrusts it forward as it sends another beam of lightning down towards her, who is unconscious and automatically fails her save.
It's gonna try to leave. Ho ho.
Bye.
You see as this lightning tears across the ground, and as it reaches up and hits the unconscious Silvenestrial, cloud of just dirt and debris and such flies into the air from the attack, and as it takes a few moments for it to dissipate, you see just a charred and broken body now laying down where Silvenestrial had been. The dragon then looks around at you once again and takes off to the north. Almost disappearing. Oh wait, no, we can move further. To about there, 60 feet up in the air, just taking off, flying away from you all. Ignalia.
I mean, I
How high in the air is he?
50 feet.
Okay. I will use my first action to take the dash movement and fly right up next to him.
Okay.
Because, yeah, flying 30 times 2 is 60, so I can actually get to the far side of him.
Mm-hmm.
Next action, I will... Let me ponder my options real quick. Alright, yeah. I will just Flame Blade again.
Okay.
Does a 22 hit?
Yes.
Alright. 12 slashing, 5 fire, 9 radiant, and I'll quicken spell and do it again.
If they'll knock him out of the sky, I can jump on top of it like I did last time.
28.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay, and the same rolls, so 12 slashing, 5 fire, and this time I'll go ahead and smite that for 29 total radiant damage.
Wow. Nice.
Okay.
And end my turn there.
Alrighty. So as you fly up towards this creature, able to slit, very it with these flaming wings behind you rather. You stop in front of it and bring it up as it was not even looking back towards you, and you surprise it as you bring your blade around twice, slashing into it, dealing a good chunk of damage. This thing kind of wavers, its wings flapping a little bit quicker to keep itself in the air as it takes a solid chunk of damage, but it is still going. This guy's dead. Tara.
Can I give a perception check to see if I know where it is? Based on hearing?
You can do it at disadvantage. With a 9, you hear the fighting up above, but its exact location you cannot determine.
I'm not going to be able to do anything.
So you the ranged spell attack, but you'll do so with disadvantage.
Alright. We'll just do an earth bolt at it.
15, unfortunately, will not hit.
No, I don't think a 16 is going to make a difference.
Negative.
Better than expected.
Much better than expected, rather. Anything else?
That'll end my.
All right. So
Just for my bonus action, I'm going to have Mr. Pebbles move up 30 feet.
Okay. To really determine, you see her kind of looking blindly, literally up at the sky, and with that, she quickly just raises up another earth bolt and flings it up to the sky. It sails over Ignalia and the dragon's heads, not terribly far, only a few feet missing. She got pretty close, but unable to hit it. Steve.
I'm gonna stand up, pull out my longbow, and take a shot.
Okay. An 11 will miss.
And that's all she wrote for me.
Alrighty. So, Rogar moving back away from the now dead half dragon, turns and quickly drops his rapier, pulling out his longbow to take a quick attack towards this dragon. Unfortunately, it sails wide off to the left, missing the dragon and Ignalia fairly decently. Stone Skull.
And it's how high? 50 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Could its tail be like 30 feet?
It's all 50 feet.
All right. Taking the fun out of everything.
I know.
Charging forward, I'm just... As soon as I get underneath of it, I'm going to reach back and take a spear and launch it straight up in the air at it. It would be 40 feet distance, so it'll be at disadvantage.
Yep.
That's throws
Yeah.
it.
22.
And Stone Skull learns what gravity is.
Mm-hmm. Spear hits him in the head.
Oh no. Not the...
Makes do a dex save?
Okay. I do a dex save or the horse?
The horse.
Okay, you were breaking up. I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Can't do anything.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do... Okay, there we go. Dex save. 13.
Dex save. Okay. So as you're rushing forward, making your way underneath Discord. Okay. Making your way underneath this dragon. As you're raising up the spear as it comes to a stop, it lurches a bit and your attack goes wide because of it. You look down to see the horse stumbling almost like it's about to fall over, tripping over its own feet. But it rights itself at the last second and does not fall prone. Because the one you rolled was you fall prone and your movement is reduced to 0, but you're on the back of a horse, so that doesn't make any sense.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, my bonus action. I'll just drink a potion of healing here.
Okay.
But that'll be my turn.
Alrighty. So this dragon is going to... finding itself in the air, kind of out of range of everybody, it's going to move itself around Ignalia to the backside, and it is going to attempt to bite her.
Bring it.
15. I think that misses. What about a claw? 19.
No.
But another claw. Oof, the terrible rolls coming out.
You're looking for a 23, big guy.
Yeah, so it brings it around, unable to score on you. You see it scowling at you, still looking.
Oh, right.
You're starting to look a little beat up now, but definitely still raring to go if it wants to. But it's unable to get through as you bash away with your shield, and dodge around in the air, somehow dodging all of its attacks. Your turn.
All right. I'm gonna dodge that last claw and try to get right on the inside of it and jam my sword right into its torso.
Okay.
Yeah, 11, bad.
Negative on that one.
All right. Second action, same thing.
Okay.
27.
27 will hit.
Okay, I'm gonna dump a first level smite into it.
Some good damage.
Okay.
So 13 slashing,
Yeah.
9 fire, and 14 radiant.
Yuck.
Okay.
And
I can't see its health score. There you go.
yeah, screw it. Yeah, I'm going to quicken spell, do it one more time.
Yeah, might as well.
I'm running out of magic points.
Good.
Are you forgetting about your haste?
No.
Oh, everybody's rolling that once. 4.
Zorn, what do you mean? Forgetting about my haste?
Oh, no, I just saw your third attack. I didn't see it.
4. Can you roll that low on a critical fail chart?
Yeah, I can. So, that makes sense with the wording. As you lunge out the second time after landing once, slicing through kind of front, not its leg, but the shoulder joint for its front leg, leaving a long gash of just different mixture of energy and slashing damage. You swing around a second time, but as you do so, it flaps its wings back very quickly and dodges the attack, and you swipe out openly, leaving yourself a bit exposed. The dragon will have advantage on its first attack roll against you next round.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna move to the far side of it in the process.
Okay.
Alright, that's my turn.
Alrighty. Tara.
I'm gonna move closer to try and hear better. No.
Yep, still can't quite figure out exactly where it is.
See, I want to Terror Burst it, but I feel like I wouldn't know where. So I'm going to just throw another Earth Bolt at it.
Do you want me to shout battleship coordinates to you so you can nuke me too?
That would probably be helpful, but
Alright, so doing it with disadvantage, unfortunately unable to target it. 17 will still not hit. Anything else?
and we'll bonus action quicken spell try one more time.
Alright.
Nope.
Well, you hadn't rolled it at one yet, I don't think, so it's your turn.
Oops.
I was like, wait, you can't roll a 0. Oh dear.
Oh,
I need a con save from you, please.
that's super unfortunate.
Oh shit.
Really?
No.
Well, hold on.
See you in a week.
I'm gonna guess 8 still didn't do it. So
Not quite. Alrighty. So as your first Earthbolt goes wide, you start to get frustrated, and you quickly launch off this second Earthbolt. But as it kind of leaves your hand, after the Earth gathers into it, it starts to zoom away from you, and then the Earthbolt explodes as your spell misfires. You fall prone. You take 4 bludgeoning damage as the pieces of rock hit you in the face as you're knocked down to the ground. The concussion from your spell exploding caused you to take another point of thunder damage. And as the last bit hits you in the face, you were knocked unconscious for 1 minute.
okay, that's super fail.
Does that
Rip.
end? Does that end both haste and the Aegis as well?
Mm-hmm.
Does.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh, for fuck. I'm falling 50 feet.
Yeah, we're getting exhausted now. That's
Yup.
Yay.
All right. Let me look up fall damage rules real quick. Okay. All
like
righty.
1d6.
So,
Yeah,
it's
1d6 per
10 feet.
10 feet. Yeah.
All right. So, unfortunately, as Tara is just knocked out by her own spell, misfiring on her, you feel haste dropping from the two of you, which we'll revisit in a second after Steve.
Alright, can I move up to Terra, take a shot with my bow, and then attempt to wake her up?
This music got a little loud, didn't it?
If you want to try to wake her up, it'll
terribly
cost
loud.
an action, not a bonus action.
Turn it down
So
just
if you take a shot at the bow, you won't be able to wake her up. But if you wake her up, you can wake her up.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and wake her up.
Okay. Yeah, if you spend an action, you will 100% wake her up. Yeah, that's a rough roll. All right, so Steve, seeing Tara go down, seeing her allies hunching over now in just pure exhaustion as the spell, as the haste spell dissipates, Steve runs over immediately, setting down his longbow next to Tara and begins to shake her. As you do so, her eyes kind of flicker open very quickly, a small stream of blood leaching down her head from the spell, or from the rocks rather, that hit her in the face. You are now awake, Tara, and not unconscious. Stones go, unfortunately. As haste wears off, I think it just can't do anything.
Yeah, no attack or anything, I think, this round.
Yeah, you can't move or take actions until your next turn. So this wave of lethargy just completely encompasses over you as haste wears off unexpectedly with Tara being knocked out. Only for a few moments, but it was to lose its connection with you, and you just feel utterly exhausted as it drains from your body.
Could I still get the horse to move me?
Well, you can't take any action, right? Not even
I-
a free one.
I can't take any action.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can't even like command your horse, and it doesn't have like a telepathic link to you.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd need to be able to nudge it or steer the reins or something, and you can't do it.
Sure. Okay.
So Stone Skull just unable to move right now. But seeing as it has advantage, seeing as she's very wide open right now, with haste dropping on hers, so that AC is actually going to drop 2. This thing is going to try to wail on Ignalia before she falls. 23.
23 will hit. Yep.
All right, so
Mhm.
21 piercing and 3 lightning damage to you. And then it's going to claw you
Right.
twice. Not with advantage, though. 24
Oh, obviously.
and an 18.
18 will miss.
All right, so it hits you with a bite as it sinks its teeth into your shoulder as your body just can't even move to defend yourself. A claw also scoring across your chest, taking a total of 38 damage. Quick mass.
Yep.
Yeah, 38 points of damage as the third claw, or the third attack with its claw, comes around trying to hit you. You feel yourself falling and darting away, flying 80 feet to the north. So it is now 80 feet away, or 70 feet off the map, rather, or 75 feet off the map. Ignalia, you're falling.
I am
to
a
the ground.
beautiful flaming comet into the ground.
Butterfly. Falling 50 feet, so that is going to be 5d6 damage as she careens with her heavy armor straight to the ground, taking another 19 points of bludgeoning damage as she bounces hard off the ground. Kind of.
I live with 3
Yeah. Ignalia looks fucked up.
Nice.
Yeah, this guy. I moved to Terra. I can go for this guy.
I'm going to use my movement to stand up and scream at Steve, tell me exactly where he is. You can use a reaction for that, right?
I'll allow it this time.
Is that not a thing?
Not really, no. Usually have to do it on your turn, but I'll allow it for flavor. Steve, you can tell her where he is?
Yep, he's right over there, and kind of like hold her hand and point to where he is exactly.
How far away?
About 75 feet in the air.
All right. I'm going to launch a Terra Burst at him.
Okay.
At maximum level. So,
So fifth
fifth
level.
level. Yeah.
All right. $34. All right. All right. Do anything else?
That will on my turn.
All right. So as Tara instructs Rogar to point her hand up in the air, kind of leading her towards the target, he points as best he can, kind of leaning his head over, looking at her hand. Thinks it's pretty, pointed right at it. She quickly raises her hand in a quick upwards and twisting motion, and the rocks once again coalesce at the ground level and then shoot up into the air. And right before they run into the dragon proper, they explode. You see the dragon kind of barrel rolling to the side as it dodges some of the attack, not wanting to get hit by it again, but it takes some damage. It's starting to look like it's wavering a bit, but then continues to fly on, still standing. Steve?
All right.
So
Pick
flying.
up the bow and try one more again.
Okay.
Chase him! Chase him!
An 18 will hit
Nice. 11.
for 11. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Unless Ignalia is within 5 feet of it.
No, she's on the ground in a
Okay.
heap right now.
No, that's it.
All right. So yeah, you fire off this bow as this dragon is just sailing away into the sky, flying up further and further away from you. You let off this long shot and it flies through the air, kind of sailing and then arcing over as it comes down right towards this thing's back, sinking in. You see its body kind of convulse as it ducks down a few feet and then rises back up, still flying through the air, but it seems like it's having a little trouble now. Stone Skull.
Nothing I can really do. I'm gonna move over this way, 5 feet of movement to hop off and search the body.
Okay. All right, we will return to that. As this guy flying off into the distance is now going to dash and fly away. He is a speck in the distance at this point, unfortunately, as he moves 160 feet in one turn. And yeah, and that's being me being nice and only giving him one action.
Why is he running away?
It's almost like what he was sent to do is done, and he has no reason to be here anymore. So he leaves, flying off into the distance. A couple of y'all can still maybe attack it, but it's going to be super difficult. So we're going to go ahead and say that it is gone.
He killed the girl. That's all they wanted.
All right, so as this is happening, the blue dragon that had done so much damage to you all, including almost knocking Nalia out as she begins to lift herself off of the ground in this somewhat small crater that she's created with her impact. You look around the battlefield, seeing the half-dragon now laying dead with Stone Skull kind of looking over its remains. You look down to the south and see that Silnestrial is just a smoldering heap of what her elf form used to be after getting hit by that attack and almost, pretty much instantly killing her in her unconscious state. You find yourselves alive. Some of you not too terribly hurt. Most of you not too terribly hurt. But definitely knowing that this was a bit of a stronger offensive sent after one person.
person.
Let's see here.
One whole person.
How much health do you have, Ignalia?
3.
Awesome.
A
3.
whole 3.
That was a
I was
great
waiting to
crit,
see
though.
how that fall damage rolled out.
We rolled just
But-
a little higher.
Well, no, see, it would have been great, though, because if you had done enough, I would have collided with the ground, exploded, and then gotten back up because Phoenix.
That's Phoenix. That's funny. Stone Skull. Roll me a D100.
Okay.
E3. Okay. Roll me one more D100.
Okay. And 62.
Okay.
Yes, if it was a potion of resurrection, that would
Yeah,
be
okay.
interesting. Although, it is a
So as you
heap of-
search this thing's body, you see he's carrying a few extra spears upon his back, as well as this kind of large shield that he was using in combat. Well, not large, it's more like a buckler, one that he could use to shove people if he wanted to. You find very little on his body. You find this kind of large sack hanging off his waist, and as you pull it out, it jingles. And you look inside of it, and you find 33 gold pieces within it. Seems to be his spending money. But inside it as well, you see what appears to be this somewhat small object. And as you kind of look at it and twist it in your hand, you see what appears to be a feather that is white in coloration.
Okay. Do I have this already? I think I do on my other character. Other item. Let's see.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
Lay on the ground and contemplate my life.
I'm gonna look over everything and look over at the party and say, why would he carry a feather with him?
Maybe he found it and he thought it was pretty.
I'm just gonna kind of look up from the ground and say, no one thinks feathers are pretty. Bring it over to me, would you?
I don't know what's pretty.
I walk over, reach down, and help Ignalia to her feet, and as she kind of steps up.
No.
No,
You're bringing
you
it
wanna
down
lay
to me.
Nope, I'm just gonna stay here. Nope.
Just a limp heap, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yep, I hand it to Ignalia.
And I cast Detect Magic.
Yeah, pretty much a
Okay.
resurrection. potion.
As you do so, what kind of magic is that? So many tabs open. Falling damage, crit hit table. Had to bring out all the stops for that one. It radiates transmutation magic.
It's a feather token.
All right.
I've had it.
Well, at least we know it's magical of some kind, some sense. But we'll need to study it for a little bit. I can do that while we rest up.
62. Is it the same? I think this
Maybe
is
you
the
should
same
get on the
exact
cart.
one. I have the same
Then we
exact
should continue on.
token if it's what I think
wouldn't
it
say
is.
no to it.
Yeah, I'll go
Did
back.
Did anyone check for remains of what was her name?
No. Where's Verum? Is he still in the cart? Shackled
No,
up?
nobody's went and checked the cart.
I know.
I can't see the cart.
I'm gonna go to the cart then. Okay, what's at the cart?
Give me a perception check as you approach the cart.
Oh boy.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. You see the cart seems to still be sitting there, not attacked by anything else, and you're approaching from the front, so you can't quite see into the back of it yet. As you move your way around, walking the horse to the back side of the cart where the open flaps are, you look inside and you see your two prisoners still sitting inside the cart. You see their bonds have held tight. You actually see Verum crouch down a little bit like he was crawling out from under the seat inside the cart, like he was hiding. As he kind of sits back over and looks over and he says, or he doesn't say anything. He kind of looks over at the other prisoner and then looks back at you. He kind of raises one of his hands up and motions towards his eyes and then points at the prisoner like he was, he's indicating that he was watching her.
Okay. Kind of wander around the front side and go ahead and latch the horse back onto the wagon here.
Okay.
As I do, I'll kind of speak out and say, well, at least they didn't try to run.
What state is Selenestral's body in?
Yep.
You remember that scene from Terminator when she's having like the mental vision or whatever of the nuke going off? She's like holding onto the fence and the nuke hits her and she's just bone.
No.
Pretty close.
But I'll look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Pretty close to that. You see just tattered remains of an elf.
He's talking about Terminator Judgment Day.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and try to just, collect ashes or anything for, whatever might be considered remains left at this point.
Just for your amusement, I posted it in the Tyranny chat.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
so as you look over this just charred up body after being hit by this lightning breath attack, you find nothing. There's nothing left of her clothing or anything. Her skin and body is just charred ash and burnt meat at this point. You can't even tell exactly what she was before if you didn't know already. Just looks like somewhat humanoid figure. What's left of it, some appendages missing, just blown away by the blast. No items remain or anything. You don't even see. You see a few kind of burnt tips, very black and ashened over of some arrowheads, but everything else is gone.
All right, that clip was hilarious, by the way. But yeah, okay, so I will just get together like the pile of ash, basically, and a couple of the blackened arrowheads, I guess, and just package that using one of the silk robes that I had gotten. Yeah, just to bring it back.
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
good.
And with that, I will return to the cart.
I think we're moving on, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's early evening. The sky just kind of just started turning in color, so you have a couple hours of daylight left. But in the not quite in the directions where the dragon flew off. It actually moved over towards the northeast, away from you. But you all find yourselves back on the road again.
I immediately short rest.
Well, you're gonna be in the back of the wagon. You can just long rest. Keep on
Yeah, we
resting.
do.
To the southeast, not northeast.
Yeah.
I'm short resting first in case we immediately get ambushed.
I think. Oh no. Ignalia
all
is
right.
just a paladin.
So as you all start
healer.
getting back on the road, heading off, Ignalia taking her somewhat broken body into the cart and laying down for a rest, kind of glaring up at Baron as she does so.
I say not a word as I get in.
With that, he looks a bit surprised as he looks at you raising an eyebrow, and he just shrugs and goes back to staring at the ceiling and the floor in repetition, just keeping himself busy as he remains quiet as to not give himself away to your other prisoner. But you set off on the road. The rest of the evening goes off without incident.
Yeah, but
you're able to move
I think
just a little bit further, not terribly far,
Ignalia is multi-class.
along the tradeway. Heading towards Daggerford, knowing you've got a few more days at least until you reach Waterdeep proper, as we're kind of doing sped up travel time at this point. But you're able to reach a campsite off of the side of the tradeway and set up camp for the night, taking your watches and such, and you all get the benefits of a long rest without incident, because I'm kind. And that was a tough battle. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break.
Yay,
and then we'll return and see what else the road holds for you.
My body hurts.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, 5-minute break, guys. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll see what happens and see how close we can get to Waterdeep. Hopefully get this prisoner out of our wagon and hunt down this Drakhorn that is still blaring in the through the Sword Coast here, because that thing's a pain in the ass right now. So yeah, we'll be right back. Give us 5 minutes.
to fight things and then just budget.
Partially, but not really. I actually do it fairly, which is surprising, I know. So yeah, y'all making some good distance. I'll tell y'all at the end of the session. I think it's a neat thing, but I've never seen it before. So you continue on along the tradeway. Like I said, knowing your gut, quite a few days, probably about a week or so, to travel all the way through Daggerford and make it to Waterdeep once again. But you find yourself moving along at a decent pace with the aid of the wagon to alleviate you when you get tired and taking swaps to hop off and trot alongside the wagon as well as hop onto the wagon itself and ride along. Making a good pace, so you actually find yourself a little bit closer to Daggerford. You know that you probably have a day and a half or so before you reach Daggerford itself. But the day goes by without incident. You have no returning dragon friends and no other cultists coming after your life, at least on this day. And you're able to make camp for the night and rest once again.
How about devils? Did we find any devils?
Not that you saw.
I don't think we've pissed off nearly enough kinds of things yet.
Not quite. There's always room for more. All right. If nobody has anything they want to do.
No.
Okay.
I will telepathically ask Verum about the dragon and the rider, though.
You ask him and have a brief conversation with you. He basically tells you that he doesn't know every dragon, especially ones that are not of the white, that he communed with the dragon mask. It seems that he kind of lets you in that the worm speakers themselves are the ones that talk to the dragons to try to convince them into their way of thinking. Some of them do need more convincing than others, but most of the whites seem to be in line of thinking of bringing Tiamat back. So he didn't have to do a lot of work when it came to convincing a few. But you also get the feeling that the way he describes the dragons, he keeps saying they're too numerous for him to count and keep track of all of them.
I mean, I asked him a little bit more specifically, though, if he had heard of any two acting like that, specifically a rider.
With that, he kind of shakes his head as he's talking to you and speaks back to you. He says it's unusual for the dragons to attack alongside someone, much less letting themselves be ridden by a half-dragon, as they somewhat frown upon the half-dragons being, half-breeds, though, of course, dragonborns are even more frowned upon by them. But that being said, he says that it's a testament, if nothing else, to your threat, or if to Selene Nestriel's threat, if nothing else, as to why they would have sent a dragon as well as a half-dragon riding it out to fetch her or at least kill her, which ultimately they did succeed in doing.
I'll nod and leave it at that.
All right. So getting a little information, you decide to rest for the night and then take off again. Tara, go ahead and give me a d20.
I want to level up again. If he'll let me level up, then I can get some
Time to
protection.
fight 16 dragons.
I wish I had more dragon encounters. I seem to like doing those.
In
Yes.
a campaign about dragons? Never.
As fun as it to be, it would oversaturate a little bit. That's no fun. So as you make your way forward, once again, you find another uneventful day before you. As you continue on, you actually find yourself moving at a quicker pace than you realized. As you arrive at the, I say city lightly, but it's the city of Daggerford. You find this walled, somewhat fortress before you that you've been to before, knowing that this is a somewhat large town, if nothing else. bigger than Greenest, 2 or 3 times as big as Greenest, but not anything compared to Waterdeep, which is just huge, sprawling city with districts and such all around it. But no, tiny village lies before you. But the walled fortress lies ahead of you as you're getting there towards the end of the day, well into dusk. But you're able to make your way to the walls. The guards kind of stopping you, just inspecting you very quickly, and then allowing you to do so. You do notice that the guards do seem to be a bit on guard. Their eyes kind of shifting and searching the countryside. And only a few minutes after you make your way into the city itself, do you look behind. You see them shutting the gates, even though full darkness hasn't quite swept over the land. They definitely seem to be upping their precautions for anything outside. You see, compared to your last visit here, it seems like there's quite a few more guards manning the walls and such, all of them armed with crossbows and ranged weapons, longbows and such, to defend what you can only assume to probably be against dragons or wyverns or any other flying creatures. You're assuming that maybe they've seen them flying through the air too. But you're able to make your way and find an inn within Daggerford to rest and relax. What are you going to do with your prisoners?
That would not be a good question to ask. So.
Well, I would vote for unloading the woman we picked up. With whatever prisoners they'd already taken there, but keep Varum with us to head back to Waterdeep.
So you're gonna turn the woman in, is what you're saying?
I think we need to turn her in Waterdeep too.
I don't remember if she was actually important at all.
She was aware of purple. I mean, she is a somewhat high-ranking cultist, but she's not worm speaker important. But she is a leader within their organization.
Then yeah, no, probably bring her back with supplies and shoring up anything else that we might have needed to make sure that they stay secure.
Okay. So as you make your way into this inn, you see it's pretty heavily populated. You see almost all the tables have at least one person sitting at it. This, 3-floored facility that you find yourself in. The bottom of it being a somewhat large tavern, 50 square feet or so. Pretty roomy. But a lot of people seem to be sitting here, most of them drinking. Not hearing a lot of laughter and such, but most people seem to be holding on conversation and such. As you move in, you have your 2 prisoners in tow. Are you keeping them chained up and such? Are you unbinding them? What are you doing?
I was gonna
Unbinding them.
Yeah.
I would actually kind of vote if we could ask if we can keep them like with the cart or around the stable, and I'll actually just stay there for the night, keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I mean, I have no objections to that.
Okay. So, leaving them out in the cart until you go back for them?
I think
Give me
they're-
your actions here.
They're gonna basically stay around the cart, and at least me, or we can take shifts or whatever, are gonna basically with them there.
Okay.
So somebody's staying with them at all times, but they're gonna stay in the cart. They're not gonna take them out of the cart.
Okay, so you're leaving them in the cart, and some of you are going inside, and then are you doing shifts? Is it Malia staying out there by herself?
Well, I'll leave Mr. Pebbles out there with her.
Okay.
All right. Me and a storm.
And I'll probably come out after part of the night's through and switch out with Ignalia.
Okay. All right. So as you make your way inside, you see much the same. Like I said, lots of people inside of it, all drinking and having a meal and everything for the evening. You talk to the innkeeper there. You're able to let them know that you're gonna have some people outside manning the stables. Initially, he's like, "No, they need to buy a room, and stay there. The stables aren't for people to stay at." But after a few moments and presenting your writ to him, you're able to convince him otherwise, and he graciously says to do whatever the hell you want. Just don't cause any trouble for the inn if you could help it. And with that, you're able to secure probably 2 rooms for free. Actually, no, just 1 room. They're pretty packed. You come to find, so you're only able to procure 1 room since he doesn't have the extra room for comfortable sleeping arrangements. But he does allow at least 1 or 2 of y'all to be out at the stable without issues. And with that, you're able to, without causing incident, rest for the evening.
Yeah.
Because if you had drunk 2 people inside there all chained up, it would have been a little awkward.
Mm-hmm. Just a little.
No, we're just into that. Don't worry about it.
It's like, I'm not here to kick shame, but this is weird, and I don't know if I want it in my inn.
Sorry, did you say kink chain?
Yes.
Well, you're correct. Now get out of my bar.
Alrighty, so you're able to trade off shifts and such, keeping eyes on him. Verum, once again, being the very cooperative prisoner, resting for the evening, just passing
He's
out.
A little
Everything
too
is
cooperative, to be honest.
loud snoring seems to actually kind of raise a suspicion from the other wearer of purple, the Chila flag steel that you got from the dwarves. She didn't recognize that, as Varyn's been doing his best to keep quiet at your direction, but can't really control himself as he sleeps. This loud kind of raucous snoring happening, but she doesn't say anything or even really seem to do anything about it. She does her best to rest, knowing that it's nighttime at this point, even with her blindfold. And the rest of you are able to trade off in shifts and rest in the room for the night. And the night goes on without incidents.
Yay.
And you find yourself the next morning waking up bright and early and heading off towards Waterdeep, knowing you've got a couple of days ahead of you to get there as you continue along the tradeway. Rogar. Go ahead and give me a d20 roll.
Okay.
So, once again, another boring day of travel occurs as you continue on. The weather does seem to take a bit of a turn to the worse as the skies cloud over. Not heavy rain, but a definite light drizzle seems to pour over you for the better part, lasting from high noon all the way until almost dusk before it lets up a bit. It's a bit colder as you make your way towards Waterdeep, as you find yourself moving further and further north, making your way this way. Not uncomfortably so, just a bit brisk as the evening begins to fall upon you. And once again, you're able to make camp and settle down for the night.
Okay.
Anything anyone wants to do?
No, not yet.
Nope.
Yeah, usual prayers and such.
As you're all getting ready for bed, laying down for the evening, setting up your watch and such, before anyone falls asleep, everybody give me perception checks.
Perception. You.
Stone Skull, a little weary from riding all day, is the only one that doesn't really notice it too much. He does feel a little bit off put before going to sleep. But everyone else, you're able to clearly sense that kind of uneasiness. And though you're kind of on the edge of a grassland leading to the mountains to the northeast of you, crickets and everything chirping all around you, everything goes silent for a few moments, and you feel that same very or now no is related to the drac horn being blown.
Yay. I was just talking about
And just
this,
as
actually.
it passes and everything falls silent, a few moments pass, and then the sound returns to the world around you in that uneasy chest. You all kind of look around each other, knowing what it was that you just felt. Stone Soul, not quite, but getting a general sense of things. And with that, you're able to rest for the night.
Do we have a tally of how many times that's been blown?
I don't know. Y'all recording it?
Did we hear it any time from the time we left Waterdeep to get to the Serpent Hills? Because I don't recall being told that we did.
Nope.
Then we have heard it 3 times.
Yeah, okay, that's what I got. I was mainly making sure that we didn't, gloss over hearing it more.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, too. That's why I asked about Serpent Hills.
Alrighty. So, with that bit of an uneasy feeling, knowing that you were told about some information regarding it before departing off to the Serpent Hills, you get a somewhat unfriendly reminder of this other objective that had been mentioned to you as you all lay down to go to sleep. And your dreams are a little bit restless through the night. Nobody gets a real good solid as you all kind of worry about what the Drakhorn being blown again could ultimately mean. But you're able to still rest through the night and wake up the next morning.
And it's not good.
The overcast sky from the night before or from the day before still remains, but at least now it's not raining. As you take off, heading towards Waterdeep once again. Yeah, you do. Dreams of all your strength fading from you. And as you make your way towards Waterdeep, I need one more from Stone Skull.
20?
D20, yeah. Okay. All right, so as you're making your way that way, you know you're about 2 days out, 2.5 days maybe, from Waterdeep. You continue on through this somewhat bleary day. The sun not really shining overhead. It's very dark and overcast above you. But you're able to make your way, still traveling at a brisk pace with the aid of the wagon. Your 2 prisoners sitting in the back, though Varen did kind of catch Ignali at one point during the day and seemed to kind of point at his head asking for a mental connection. And after being questioned, he complained a bit about the seat digging into his ass, as he put it. The hard wood after so many days finally taking its toll on him. But
Oh, darn.
I would imagine y'all probably do your most utmost to accommodate him and tell him to shut the hell up and deal with it.
Yeah,
Unless you disagree.
that's kind of what I was thinking. What about you guys?
Can I just do a perception check to see? He's trying to be very subtle about how he goes about, telling us some stuff. So I'm not really giving him credit, but I'm just gonna do a perception to see, is there anything actually going on there, I guess.
You could do an
Does that make
insight
sense?
check. Yeah, I mean, you can see if there's any ulterior motives to what he's asking.
11.
Everything up until this point is, while he's not very outgoing with his information, he doesn't offer it up freely. Anything you've asked of him, he has answered, even if he definitely wasn't willing to do so, such as with the magic item that you found buried in his armor, inside the spike of his armor. he doesn't give it up willingly, but at the same time, he doesn't need to be tortured or anything. If he's asked a question, he will answer it, sometimes with more detail than other times. But if pried, he will tell you. As you're talking to him mentally, you realize that he is still holding on the facade that you all requested from him, to remain silent as to not tip off Sheila, who's also resting in the back of the wagon alongside him, or across the wagon from him. As he complains about it, you see that he's tentatively kind of leaning back and forth. It seems like he's probably pretty genuine about the fact that he is very uncomfortable sitting in this wagon for so long.
Yeah, well, I mean, to keep our facts straight, he can't talk. We got him bound and gagged because spellcaster. But yeah, we tell him to deal with it for another few days. We're almost there.
So he looks annoyed, a little bit ruffled by your response, but does his best to nod his head and everything and relaxes, kind of laying over on his side instead of resting, sitting. As you continue on, he gets jostled around and knocked around a bit. It's a road, but it's not a paved road.
Mhm.
But you continue on for the day. Like I said, very dreary. Not a pretty summer day or anything like that. But you continue on and make your way to nightfall, and you're able to set up camp once again, knowing that you should make it back to Waterdeep within the next day.
Okay.
Anything y'all would like to do?
No.
Did he? So he didn't actually say that to us, right? Like he only
No.
telepathically said that to Ignalia.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. So yeah, I'm just gonna call it a night.
Yeah, unless Ignalia divulged that to the rest of you, you wouldn't have no information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would probably not think that important.
Okay. All right. So you all lay down to rest, setting up watches and such. As the night goes on, Tara, give me a d20. Okay. All right. So as you rest for the evening,
Go.
you find yourself pretty close to your destination. As you look around, as you've gotten closer the day before, you've seen lots of traffic, as it were, going along the tradeway. Wagons going different directions, heading to the City of Splendors, heading away from it. All of them, for the most part, those that maybe seemed like they were bound between Waterdeep and Daggerford, didn't have much of a retinue as far as guards were concerned, but others that you saw that were full wagon trains that would be traveling probably most of the length, if not the full length of the tradeway, all the way down to maybe Scornabell or Baldur's Gate, had pretty large retinues of guards, 20 to 40 different guards on some of these large wagon trains. Definitely more than what you're used to seeing, but by now you've definitely gotten the take that things are a little bit alert right now. Random attacks are happening along the tradeway, and the people seem to be reacting to it. Nobody really talks about it as you catch conversations going to and from these caravans going past you. Nobody seems to really know about the Cult of the Dragon and such. They just know that bandit activity and sights of creatures and things of that nature have kind of elevated over the past couple weeks. It seems like the cult's activity is growing a little bit more rampant. But even so, you're able to rest for the evening, spending the night, one more night out on the open road, and you're able to get another rest in. As you awake the next morning, you see the clouds have cleared. Kind of bitter, not quite super bitter cold, but lower 60s. It's brisk, if nothing else. For us Southerners, at least, it's brisk. Seems to be the outer weather and such, as the cold front that came through, bringing the rain with it, passes fully through. You find yourself heading towards Waterdeep. within a couple hours, you're already able to see the towering structures that you know represent Waterdeep. You see Mount Waterdeep laying in the distance. And as you get closer after about an hour of travel, you see the glimmer of the Palace of Waterdeep, Castle Waterdeep, rather, residing up on Mount Waterdeep, shining in the distance. A couple more hours transverse, and you find yourself approaching the city. And I forgot to do something. I have a map.
Add the Waterdeep map.
Mm-hmm. I have one of these now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me add that for y'all real quick. Thanks, Wizards, for adding this thing and giving me access to it via images.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy the freaking hard copy of it too, and I'm gonna hang that map on the wall because it's got a big old folding map inside the book.
Oh, does it?
Save and I hope it'll let me do it actually. It's a large file.
If it's over 5 megs, it won't take it.
We'll see. Let's see what happens. Oh, 10 megs.
Yeah, it won't take it. That's the cutoff for Roll20. They
Increase
have
the
some.
resolution.
Half the city disappears, you say?
No shit. I don't want that.
They have a
What's the
bunch of
name?
them online.
Yeah, but I like this. Jesus, it's not quite down. It's a JPEG file. What holds smaller sizes than JPEG?
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't think it was.
Junky JPEG. So low resolution
Yeah.
JPEG.
I don't think I can just.
Non-motion GIFs.
Yeah.
PDF is gonna make it larger.
Wait,
I
did you
think.
just call them GIFs?
Yep,
I can't be your friend anymore.
that's fine.
GIFs. What's wrong with this guy?
No, go away. Can't. There we go.
You get it?
I don't know. I'm trying to see what the size of this is. Nope, still 14.5. Damn it. You make me sad because it's a really good map.
You gotta make it smaller.
I don't know how.
Open it in Paint. Resize the image a little at a time until you get below 10 meg.
Can I open it in Paint? Open with Paint. Oh wait, I have GIMP. I wonder if I can do it with that.
It's gonna be easier to resize an image in Paint. It takes all
Well,
of
I
2
might-
seconds.
I might be able to compress it with GIMP.
Yeah.
Please hold as we do things to try to give you all a user experience. Let's see if I can find a quick map real quick.
Here. Just use this one. One sec.
Save as. Jesus. Like file type by extension. Oh, it doesn't have other. I need Photoshop. Damn it. It's only 6,300 by 9,000.
Use that
It's
one.
not that big.
Just download
Only.
that. Put that in.
Save images.
Could also use this. Sorry about this, guys. We're trying to find the map stuff here, but
Oof, that is real row. That's fine. It's not that big a deal. As I'm resizing this.
and then you can get a different one for later if you want it.
Yeah, I'll just remake it later on. I thought about doing that last session, and I just didn't do it. Or not last session. The other day. Yeah. Oh well. All right, so you make your way back into Waterdeep. You find yourself moving along once again through the tradeway over here as you continue on, making your way into the southeast entrance of it. For the sake of brevity, you're able to move westward across it, following the main thoroughfares through the city. You see all the different sights and splendor as you do so, but you're bound and determined to lead your wagon through the crowded streets up towards the Palace of Waterdeep, which lies over to the west, kind of at the base of Mount Waterdeep. As you do so, you see that as you're moving through the trade ward initially, and then through the castle ward itself. You find yourself just, like I said, in these crowded streets, lots of other wagons and activity going through, much of like you expected from before, the same kind of stuff you ran into previously. But you continue on, moving up to it. As you get closer to the palace, however, you do see lots of guards surrounding it. Obviously, the guards of Waterdeep, all wearing the colors of the city itself, seeming to make kind of these concentric rings through the castle ward itself, surrounding the palace. But you move on, you aren't stopped and such. It seems like they're just there for an extra guard, if nothing else. But as you get closer to the palace itself, you're about 400 feet or so out in the open courtyard before it, and you see a line of guards standing before you as you inched forward on your wagon and warhorse and such. And as you get closer to this line of guards, they don't move. And one of them holds a hand up as you come up and you begin to slow. And the guard speaks out to you, says, "Halt! What business do you have at the palace?"
I just immediately take out the writ and hand it over to him.
With that, the guard moves forward, taking it from you, looking down at the writ, and seems to read through it for a few moments. And unlike others, you see his eyes do not widen, his face and demeanor do not change at all as he looks at it. He simply nods and hands it back. He says, "Very well." And with that, he motions back, and the line of guards before you, and about 20 people, well armored and well supplied with weapon guards, stand before you. They all begin to spread. Everybody give me perception checks.
Okay. Oh no, my roll 20 just reloaded. One sec.
Rip the
Perception.
dream.
Okay.
Rogar and Terra, because you can't see, Rogar is squinting at these guards, trying to figure out, hey, these guys weren't here before. What's going on here? Ignalia and Stone Skull, however, you find yourselves looking at the guards as they begin to pass and moving forward. But you both catch the sound of what sounds like beating wings. And as you look up, kind of alarmed for a moment, because you've heard this sound several times before from dragons or wyverns moving in, you look up and you see what appears to be these somewhat strange creatures you haven't really run into before. You see these creatures that almost have the body of a lion, and you see their heads are feathered, and they have beaks like a large eagle would have. And you recognize these creatures as griffins. You see more guards dressed in the finery of Waterdeep, sitting atop these griffins, as 3 of them are in the sky above you, kind of just hovering over your position. And as they see that you're let by the guards, you see them begin to fly off in various directions, moving around. It seems like you had even more guards that you didn't initially see watching you as you moved in.
Interesting.
So this is a larger show of force than when we left.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's always
So
a
I'll
good
kind
sign.
of lean over and ask the head guard, just say, why the sudden increase in security? This is a lot more tense than it was when we departed.
As you ask that, you see him looking up at you, and you see a bit of, as you saw before when you handed him the writ, every single other person, these commoners that you've given it to, have been very surprised and taken aback by this writ. But this guy just, didn't really care. He was like, okay, business as usual, no big deal. But as you look at him and ask him this question, he looks up and you see a bit of faltering in his eyes, and he kind of cringes a bit. And he looks up at you and begins to speak. He says, well, ma'am, unfortunately, there have been dragon attacks recently. They haven't reached as far as Waterdeep, but they've got the local folk somewhat spooked. Red Larch was actually attacked recently. Half the town was destroyed. They've started moving in. Whatever's happening here is beginning to escalate, and I haven't been told any more information than that, but just call it an intuition. I think something big is going on.
All right. So I'll nod and thank him for the information and kind of look back to the rest of the group. I think we need to do something about that horn.
Stone Skull nods. Says, yeah, it's probably not helping us any to warn additional dragons to come to the aid of the cult.
All right. No one else?
Nope, guess not.
Yep.
All right. Then I'll just ask the guard to dispatch a message to the leaders of the council to receive the worm speaker and another prisoner, to prepare them for questioning.
Okay. So as you say this, you see him kind of looking a little bit interested, but he has a professionalism not to ask anything. As I find a better image real quick. There we go.
There it is.
So as you move in, he nods very quickly and does another quick series of hand motions, and one of the guards takes off at a slow jog back towards the palace. With that, the guard turns around and he kind of motions for you to move further in towards the palace. So you start moving forward, making your way towards this very grandiose-looking building that you've now recognized and even stayed in before when you had the meeting with the Council of Waterdeep. As you make your way towards the large gates, you see 2 guards trotting back towards you. And they kind of stop in front of you and raise their hands up to their chest, saluting you, then motion for you to follow them as they start leading you over to a side entrance, a smaller gate over to the side. You follow behind them as they do so. You see that they're leading you to what appears to be a large stable yard out beside the palace itself. With that, they help you unmount the horse and everything and lead it over to the stables. As well as move behind to assist with guarding the 2 prisoners. As they see the one speaker, Varum, taken out with some confirmation from you after asking, they call over a few more guards who put extra shackles onto him, shackling his arms and legs and binding him very securely. With that, you see the head guard actually approaching from behind you as he walks up. He says, I've come to see y'all personally inside. Who is it that you wish to see with these prisoners?
It's Leosin, isn't it?
I'm looking for my notes. Where'd they go?
I believe it's Leosin. Um, not saying it.
I mean, you've got Erlenthar, Leosin, Harper. You've got the people of the council. You've got Dark Froome and stuff. I mean, you have options if you're not forced to just pick one, but it's up to you.
Well, I'd be inclined to say Antharr Froome, but
Okay.
also probably Leosin.
As you inquire about that, asking for Antharr Froome, the guard kind of looks up at you and shakes his head. He says, "Unfortunately, that will be impossible. Antharr Froome is headed to Red Larch. He should be there already to assist with the evacuation and safety of it. He took some of his paladins with him."
Of course he did.
But you said Leosin, Erlenthar? I believe he's still here at the palace.
The only thing I'm trying to remember is there was the murder before we left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. Was there something that like happened before we left that was like semi suspicious?
You had heard from Leosin that Ramalia Haventree's husband had been murdered prior to the council, seemingly by the cultists, and ultimately caused her to force people's hands, the other nobles' hands, into forming the council itself.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so Leosin and the king to just make sure that it's aware at large, pretty much.
Okay. Okay. All right. So with that, he nods, saying he knows where Leosin should be. He knows where his quarters lie. He directs you, and you still have this, 5-man retinue of guards alongside the captain leader, escorting you through the palace as you head into it proper. You start making your way through some back corridors, just stone filled and very drab in their construction. But after a few minutes of walking, you start to find yourself in the more lavish places within the castle itself. You go up a few flights of stairs, and even one seemingly magically propelled elevator even that raises you up a few floors, and you find yourself in these kind of lavishly decorated halls before you that you somewhat recognize as something very similar to the place you stayed before when you visited Waterdeep. And as this procession moves through with the party members as well as the guards and prisoners, you find yourselves at a doorway, this large set of double doors, and the guard walks up and with a gauntleted fist knocks 3 times on the door, the sound of it echoing through the hall around you. A few moments pass of no response, and just as the guard begins to raise his hand up to knock again, you hear a familiar voice coming from the other side saying, I'm coming. And with that, you see Leosin opening the door. You see a bit of smudged ink across his cheek as he looks out and kind of blinks at the guard and looks around, and his eyes alight as he sees the party standing before him. He says, my friends, you have returned. Come in, please. And with that, he finally sees past you and sees this dwarf as well as this this human standing behind him rather, shackled and chained. He says, who are your friends?
He's indicating the prisoners, obviously, right?
Yes.
And so I'll say, well, we just returned. Might I introduce, well, Worm Speaker Verum and another wearer of purple that we picked up along the way.
As you say that, you see not quite a dark look across Leozin's eyes, but his demeanor changes a bit from the kind of happy-go-lucky personality that he's been mostly around you. His demeanor changes to more businesslike. With that, he says, I see. You have returned with him alive then. Excellent. With that, he turns to the guard. He says, please escort our 2 guests here down to the dungeon area. I'll send somebody down to them shortly. And with that, Leozin looks at you and says, no, come inside to my quarters. We need to talk. And with that, you see the guards moving back behind you, allowing you space for you to enter this somewhat large room. As you make your way inside of it, you see the guards moving back and taking the prisoners and going back the way you came, obviously leading them off to the prisoner cells.
Okay.
You find yourself in this very large appointed chamber for Leozin. Much larger than the ones that you stayed in. The ones you stayed in were definitely very nice and larger than anything any of you had stayed in. Even Ignalia with her somewhat, I wouldn't say special treatment, but, slightly higher than average treatment, being a paladin of the order and such. But as you look upon Leozin's, you see that he's got several rooms within his quarters here. You see all of them are being utilized. You see paperwork all across the room. Strewn across tables. You see some laying on the floor and such. And as you begin to move into the room, he turns around and says, I apologize for the mess. I've been very busy as of late. I'm gathering information. It's what we do. You can understand. And they've kept me very busy here in my chambers. And he kind of rolls his eyes. He says, more like a work prison, unfortunately, but desperate times, as they say. Now, come. Tell me, how did things go? How did you come upon Verum and bring Worm Speaker back alive? We've heard they were all very devout and would rather die than be brought back prisoner.
I'm more than happy to talk through this, but it's going to be like 2 hours of talking.
You can summarize stuff.
Yeah, so I'll summarize how we found him in those ruins to Diderius, the colony of my god, I forgot their name. Snake people. Yanti, there we go. Basically buried alongside it, and how we exchanged him from them. And then, basically all the information I had learned from him, which is, the importance of, or rather just like the use of the horn, the importance of the seat, whatever it's called, dragons. I don't remember where it is on the map.
The Well of Dragons?
Yeah, Well
Well,
of Dragons.
dragon.
There we go. Yeah, the Well of Dragons is their meeting place. The fact that the sects kind of work independently from one another, kind of similar to how the Harpers operate, but and then just describe in good detail how he answered questions, but how he also, was cautious and reserved sometimes fearful.
Okay.
And I'll notify him, how we kind of kept the wearer of purple blind to who he was for the trip.
Okay. All right. So as you go through these different things, he listens intently. You actually see him pulling out a piece of parchment, and he looks down and sees writing all over it, and flips it over very quickly, and begins jotting down a few notes as you're speaking, nodding and listening intently and taking notes. As you mentioned the Well of Dragons, he pipes up. He says, yes. No less than 2 weeks ago, we actually received word of cult activity around that area. We sent a group of very, very powerful people down there, but we haven't heard from them. I fear for the worst, but surely they're fine. I mean, they were as powerful as you, or at least close to it. I mean, not to take anything away from yourselves, of course.
I mean, the 5 of us strong alone could not take on a full army, and that might be very well what they're encountering down there.
An army? How do you know there's an army there?
He told us.
Yeah, that's basically what he told us. It is the seat for all of their factions' power.
Mhm.
And I believe he told us they might be summoning dragons there.
Yeah, he's pretty cooperative because he lost his mask and they're gonna kill him. Y'all should talk to him.
So with that, he jots down some more notes and nods. Says, well, that'll make things easier if he is cooperative. It's because he said he feared for his life, you say. Well, that takes one less option off the table for us, but if we treat him nicely, it should go well. I'm sure our interrogators will have no issue with him. This other one, he looks down at his notes, this Sheila. I don't know what she could offer us, but maybe something of a different faction or a different sect, as you put it. Within the cult, maybe some more information on that. We're still lacking a lot, unfortunately. I'm hoping if there is armies, as you say, as Varum claimed, residing at the well, maybe these adventurers will return with some information for us. Hopefully shortly, but until then, we'll just assume the worst, unfortunately. He kind of looks, as he begins to talk about that, he hesitates for a moment. You see his eyes kind of dropping down a bit, and he shrugs and tilts his head. Says, unfortunately, the worst is what we've had to expect of late. The cult activity, or at the very least, dragon activity, has surged since this Drakhorn has been sounded. For whatever reason, they're now attacking all along the Sword Coast. We've had no less than 5, and he reaches over and slaps the desk where you see a pile of papers. 5 different incidents this week of dragons attacking villages. It's unheard of.
Yeah, we were attacked by a dragon too.
With that, you see Leo's and turn back towards you, and his eyes raise. The rest of y'all see that terror, obviously not. And he says, I know you've done it once before and come back victorious, but it surprises me every time. You really are powerful. I'm glad you're on our side.
Yeah, we couldn't protect. What was her name again, Ignalia? Celery?
I believe it was Silenestral.
That's the one. Yeah.
And at that, I'm going to take out the silk robe containing her ashes and place it down.
As you do that, you see a bit of a wide-eyed gape as you say that name and everything to Leos, and he says, Silenestral, the ranger. You met her.
Aye, we met her.
And she
It was
is,
a pretty brief meeting.
As he says that, he reaches out and takes the silk wrapping and such and looks at it and obviously sees just remains. And he says, and she is no longer with us then. That is unfortunate. Was there anyone else with her?
No, it was just her. She was fleeing it was a young blue dragon, right?
Probably younger than the one you fought before.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah,
she part of the
just
party
say,
of adventurers who went to the Well of Dragon?
Yeah, as you say that, Leo's and nods. He says, yes, she was. The party that we're waiting on information from the well. That's not good. And with that, you see him kind of wagging a finger in the air. He says, he turns around and grabs another piece of paper and begins writing. He says, I need to inform the others that was a very large and costly expedition. If they are all gone, killed or captured, we know nothing.
She said her group was captured or killed, and she was the only one who escaped. That's why the Blue Dragon showed up.
And the blue dragon also had a half-dragon rider with him. Very unusual, according to Varum, even.
With that, he nods, stopping writing, and he taps the end of his pen against his cheek, right where you see the ink spot. Seems to be kind of a habit of his, and you see more ink kind of splashing against his cheek. He says, yes, that makes sense. That lines up with our reports. When the attacks, and he stops and kind of clears his head for a moment. He says, the attacks that have been happening, like on Red Larch was the most recent. Darfrum has actually taken off towards that direction, if you didn't know. kind of speaking towards you, Ignalia. They're generally just one dragon. That's all it takes to wipe out a village. This one, they were able to form a resistance against it and scare it off, but it's laid down devastation. Just fire everywhere, destroying half of the city. But once again, he kind of looks back at the table where he'd slapped the notes before. He says, "This keeps happening. It's escalating, and I'm afraid it's going to get worse before it gets better. This Drakhorn, this well of dragons, it seems to all be connected and culminating into something. I'm not sure what they're doing. I can only assume building their forces for whatever ritual they're trying to perform to bring this Queen of Dragons back. I hope it's still against hope that it's a myth that isn't real, but unfortunately, the more things progress, the more I have to rely on reason and realize that this may be out of our hands." But with that, he shakes his hand, sets down his, kind of throws down the pen and paper. He says, but, you are here. You need to rest. You've been on the road. You've been out. I will arrange immediately. You have your rooms here at the palace. Do whatever you need. And with that, he thinks and starts to search around the room. He says, one moment. With that, he disappears and almost runs into the next room beside you. Disappearing for a few moments, you hear a stack of papers fall to the ground, crashing across. You see a few of them strewing out into the doorway he disappeared into. And with that, he runs back out, almost slipping on one of the papers, and says, I got it. And he walks over. He says, you remember the conversation you had about this, and he looks at it again, this sea of moving ice, this lead here. Yes?
Yes, I remember.
With that, he nods. He says, I talked to this Dala Simmerhelv. She spoke to you, if you recall, at the after the council and that meeting of all those higher folk. And he kind of waves his hand about the nobles. We talked to her again, and she was not very forthcoming with information. She seemed to only want to speak to you, but we got a little bit out of her. She spoke of this Macath, the Crimson, a sorceress. She had been off with the making sure I'm getting their names right. Is it the Brotherhood? Is that what it's called? Crap. Arcane Brotherhood, that's what they're called. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she spoke of this Macath the Crimson, a tiefling, a sorceress that was part of the Arcane Brotherhood, but she went missing. But she said she was important after much questioning and getting it out of her, that she was studying this Drakhorn, and that she went to the Sea of Moving Ice to supposedly find it. She said that was its last known location. That he shuffles through, showing that he has multiple papers, and he shuffles through them. Said that she was reporting back to the Arcane Brotherhood via sending spells, but up until recently, not recently, no, 3 years ago, the last sending spell was sent. But she said she was exploring this, or heading towards this plateau of ice that she said that the ice people that inhabit the region had been culminating in and heading towards. She said she was going to investigate it. And that was the last transmission they received from her.
3 years ago is a bit outdated information, but the cultists' plans have been in preparation for probably much longer than that.
And with that, Leosin kind of wags a finger towards you. He says, yes. Very much so. This is years of decades, probably, in preparation that they've started to enact their plan. And he kind of looks a little disgruntled, his face twisting a bit. He says, I wish we would have caught it sooner, but no information network is without its flaws, unfortunately. But that being said, and he kind of motions around the room, motioning to all the paperwork and such. Obviously, notes and intel and such that he goes through all the time. He says, this is the only lead I've been able to find. I've found things about everything from the Well of Dragons. I've learned a little bit about it, though nothing substantial for the current time. I've learned about the cult and what they used to do with Dracoliches and everything else, but I cannot find anything aside from. And he looks down at the bottom of the page. And starts to kind of read it off. He says, "The Drakhorn was created by Tiamat back in the Rage of Dragons as a speaking tool to them to bring under her their subservience. That's it. That's everything." And he kind of throws the paper up in the air. It's nothing. It tells us nothing. Its origin, yes, it deals with Tiamat, but nothing that helps us now. This Macath, the Crimson Lead, is all we have.
I mean, that's more than enough information. We've heard the horn 3 times since the council convened, and we have a plethora of more dragon incidences occurring ever since we've returned. I believe dealing with that horn should be our next priority.
With that, he nods. He says, "I agree completely. And if, of course, our favorite set of adventurers here, of our heroes," and he looks around, what is Maximilian?
Tara, you want to answer this in your profound way of doing things?
He's hanging with some dead dude.
Thank you.
With some dead dude. Okay. And he kind of gasps and raises a hand to his mouth.
No.
Is he no longer with us? Did he pass? How did he die?
No, he's not dead. I can assure you.
Oh.
He was taken by some god named Diderius, former earthly king, now some kind of god. I'm not really sure.
With that, he tilts his head. He says, Diderius. And you see him looking around the room again, and he moves over, and you see him moving over to a chair that's stacked with paperwork, but you see a few books in there, and he shoves the paperwork off of this old tome and picks it up. He says, "I know I saw something," and he slams the tome down on the ground and just sits down on the ground in front of it and begins flipping through pages. He says, yes, and he starts tapping this page. He says, "There was something about a Diderius, a wizard of some sorts. Does that make sense?"
It would sound about correct.
Yeah, with that, and he starts, trailing through, reading very quickly, his finger kind of tracing the words. He says, "Yes, this wizard was, I see. This wizard was an expert on divination magic, and you said you ran into him when you went after Verum, yes?"
Yeah,
Yes.
Verum was there trying to divine where his mask was.
He was attempting to use the power of the well.
With that, he nods. He says, yes, just worried about the well. Not much information, just it could answer any question is what it says here. That's not ominous or anything. With that, he looks up. He says, "That makes sense, but you said Dideria," and he looks down again. "This was centuries ago. You said Diderius was still alive?"
No, he's dead. I told you.
Oh, he's the dead one. Oh, okay. This makes sense now. And he says, "Okay. Well, this makes sense. I suppose you don't fear for your friend's life."
He thought it was more important to see that through. Maybe for our cause, maybe not. So
He had some personal matters that he needed to attend to before he could rejoin us.
Yeah, he did.
Listen, my friend, we're preparing for potential conflict against the 5-headed dragon bitch deity that seeks to destroy us all. I fear for all of us. He can hang out with the bearded wizard.
With that, you see Leo's begin to chuckle. He says, "Yes, I suppose my priorities are a bit askew. I apologize. I worry for him. That is all. But if you are not worried about him, then there's no reason for me to question it or his decisions for that. I just hope that you will all be prepared and ready for what is to come. Of course, it seems like it would only get worse from here, So, but that being said, he waves his hands in the air, clearing his head again. He picks the paper back up again. He says, "This is the last excerpt that was from this that we got from Dala." He begins to read off once again. He says McGath reported her progress to the host tower being placed within Luskin, where the Arcane Brotherhood resides. By way of sending spells, her last report spoke of seeing ice hunters paddling their sealskin boats towards a huge iceberg, flattened like a plateau across its surface, but ringed by icy peaks. She had intended to follow the ice hunters and investigate the iceberg. After that, no more reports came. Attempts to find McCath using scrying and other magical means located only her ship, adrift and heavily damaged. Some of the ship's crew were even seen dead, but no sign of the tiefling sorceress was ever found. However, and with this he's like, I read over this. There's mention of a dragon. And with that he reads again. He says, oh dear. This dragon's name is Arathator. Or, he kind of grimaces a bit, the Old White Death, as it's called by some. This is a very old dragon. Very, very dangerous. If she ran into him, I doubt she is alive. This may all be for naught, but you see him getting a bit of a calculating look on his face, but maybe this. But if it's still there, I don't know. He says, going on. He says the excerpt down here after explaining about Arathator says, however, the lair of a dragon as powerful as Arathator is no doubt protected against scrying magic. If McCath is alive, in addition to the lore she can share regarding the Drakhorn, the Arcane Brotherhood would be most grateful to get her back, and he kind of looks up at you, which would benefit our cause, if you recall your meeting last with the council. And with our unsettling information that armies may lie at this well of dragons, we may need all the help we can get. So, with that, he stands up, and you see him kind of dusting his robes off. He says, I will begin making preparations once again. I will be able to get you a ship, very fast ship, manned by the best crew that I can find, and I will have them ready within the next couple of days. Give me a little time to get everything going. Things are a bit chaotic, as you can imagine, here in Waterdeep, but I will be able to arrange it for you. So take a couple of days off. If you would like to speak to anyone, let me know. I will take care of it all for you. Let me be your liaison when it comes to the council and the city of Waterdeep. If you need to know anything that you could maybe not learn from anyone else, I am somewhat busy. But if you need to know any information, let me know. But take a couple of days off. Do what you need to do to prepare yourself, and I will get everything ready for you to head to the north to this sea of moving ice. Prepare yourself for cold weather.
How far away is a red larch?
With that, he thinks. He says, a few weeks. A couple, he thinks about it. With a wagon, horses, 2 weeks, maybe.
How long ago did Anthar depart?
With that, he thinks, a week and a half ago or so. He should be getting there very soon, if he isn't there already. He's not one for patience, as you may know.
No, he is not. Okay. Well, there's nothing we can do there. Anyone else have any requests?
No, I'm not happy about going on the boat. I have a couple of things in town I need to do.
Yeah, I got things to do in town, but beyond that, I have nothing else for the council.
All right. You heard him, Leosin. We will send along word if anything else comes to our attention.
Very well. All right. Once again, with that, he kind of looks towards the door. You see that there's one remaining guard there. He motions for him to enter. He says, take our friends down to the gates and inform your men that they are welcome within the palace. Send them up to the guest quarters when they come back. They do have some things to take care of. He kind of looks back over at y'all. He says some things to take care of within town, but make sure everyone knows that they are more than welcome within the palace. And with that, the guard salutes Helios and nods his head. and then moves back to the door, kind of waiting for you all. He says, "My friend Sai, I can't even describe how happy I am to see you once again. Every day is more perilous than the last, and I'm happy that you've made your way, almost all of you, back to us intact, and hope that you're still feel the drive to support the council, but not even that, all of Faerun for what is to come. Once again, if you need anything, do not hesitate to ask."
It might seem like a dick move, but can I insight check him?
What are you insighting?
Well, because he kind of went very specific on like being the point of contact of new information. It seemed like the council wasn't really in full agreement last time we met. I kind of want to know if he's trying to play a side.
Okay, yeah, give me an insight check.
Nope.
So yeah, with the 7, you're not getting any, I don't want to say like wickedness, any ill intent or anything from your conversation with him. Give me a history check.
Oh, this will go.
Give me with advantage. No, 19's fine.
No, that's fine.
Your thoughts kind of think of why he may have requested, and asked that you use him. With your interaction with the Harpers
Yes, we've
through
been
the
rolling
Order
a
of the
lot
Gauntlet,
of
that
nat
they are
ones
very,
tonight.
not necessarily manipulative, but they are very secretive when it comes to the information, and they want to be the ones with all of it in their hands because they feel not necessarily for any grievous means or anything of that nature. They want more so for the reasoning that they feel that they are the best ones to have it, and they can submit it to the right sources. They never claim to be the ones to make the decisions, and they usually actually stay out of that, but they want to be the ones holding the cards, if nothing else. It kind of fits into it. Leo's and more so kind of seems like he's more so just wanting to be helpful. He wants to help you guys out any way he can, and instead of you going to someone else, he would prefer if you went to him. That way he has the information, and then he can pass it on to someone else.
All right. Well, very good.
All right. Anything else?
All right.
I'm
Yep.
ready.
I've got a +1 longsword, and I need someone to cover it in silver.
Mhm.
I think we're all going to a weaponsmith, so
Just all heading out to one goal in mind. All right. Okay.
Fuck wraiths.
Mhm.
I'm so happy that fuck y'all. Yeah,
That's all it took, is just once. That one encounter where we're like, oh, we can't hit it? Okay, got it. We're not doing this again. We are definitely coming prepared for the next undead son of a bitch that fights us.
oh, I'm gonna need to bring my silver ore with me, so we'll stick that in the bag of holding as we go by the wagon.
Okay. All right. So you make your way out. This guard leads you down back through the twisting and turns of the palace, and find yourself actually exiting back out into the stable yard once again. You're able to visit the wagon once again, getting your silver ore and whatever else you want to, your money and such, and you head off into the city of splendors that is Waterdeep. You're yourself right now. You are in the castle ward, and you know that there is a is it in that word? Yeah. There is a large market square rather, within the castle ward, but you know that the place that you've gone to before was within the trades ward. You know this entire area is pretty much devoted to the trade of goods. So you take off down to the southeast, looking around for a qualified weaponsmith. Everybody give me D20 rolls.
Yeah. D20. Wait, did mine not roll?
Yeah, you got a 3.
Oh, there it is.
My rolls suck today.
All right,
Our
so
rolls are all kind of bad today.
there's a lot of net ones in that.
There was.
All right, so as you all, I'm out of beer. Damn.
Go grab one real quick because I need to run to the restroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I need drink.
Well, fine then.
We're almost done for the evening. Hmm. Mhm. So we're taking a short little
Okay,
break here so people can get stuff to drink, and then we can wrap up our
All right,
session.
so as you're progressing, you make it into the trade ward. And as you do so, senses are assaulted by, area you were in before the castle ward was somewhat quiet, comparatively. As you make your way through, it was lots of buildings and residences and things like that, and a good amount of traffic, but nothing compared to what you run into as you make your way into the trade ward. You had come through it briefly as you made your way down the tradeway within the city itself, but you really can appreciate the brilliance now that you're not kind of heading off to a direction. You see just people everywhere clogging the streets. You see sidewalks off to the side that are just crammed with people. The street itself is full of wagons going back and forth. Some merchants hawking wares from the back of their wagons, stopping every once in a while, but not for very long, unless the guard gets onto them for stopping traffic. You see shops for everything. Anything you can imagine, you find a shop for it. You want jewelry. There's 4 of them there on this corner. You want weapons. You see weapon shops just selling crafted weapons already. Adventuring gear. Foodstuffs, potions, tinctures, anything you could ask for, you find as you begin moving through. Within a few minutes, all of you sight within this place kind of a set off down to your south that seems to just be a large open-aired market. And as you look a little bit closer as you're moving up, the smell of smoke fills all of your nostrils, and you hear the loud clinking of hammers. As you see that this kind of seems to be an area for blacksmiths of varying degrees and varying professions. And as you look forward, you see signs hanging over each one of these small little forge areas that depict the shops. You see one hanging over that has weapons, or a sword, 2 crossed swords across each other. You see another sign that has armor laying there. You see one that has horseshoes. You see another that just has a crap. What's it called? No. It has like this half moon shape that you recognize as the currency for Waterdeep itself, it having its own currency within the city walls. You recognize this as a harbor moon. It's a platinum crescent that's worth a good amount of money, about 500 or 5,000 rather copper pieces by itself. Just one of those laying on this sign over this blacksmith. Which one do y'all want to go see?
I vote the moon.
I vote that one too.
Yeah, we'll go there, I guess. That's fine.
To the
Okay.
moon.
The moon.
To the moon.
To the window. All right. So as you make your way forward,
Space Force deploy.
calm down, Trump. As you make your way through this, blacksmith quarter of the trades ward, you find yourself once again just surrounded by big burly men and a couple of burly women hammering at forges and such. You see some of them working on armor and weapons and horseshoes and other contraptions with metalwork involved in them, from tools and things of that nature. You move over towards the one, the sign that kind of stood out. It didn't necessarily show exactly what it specialized in, like the others seem to, with weapons and armor and such. Move up to this one that does have this this harbor moon across it. And as you move up, you see a dwarf is actually in here, hammering away on the side of an anvil. You see him holding up a somewhat small-looking square, and as he looks at it, he hammers it a few more times, and he holds it up again, and then you see him lowering it back down and placing another piece on top of it, and you see him moving around. All this taking place over about 5 minutes. You see him working, just not paying attention, not seeing you or anything like that as he hammers against it. And you see him raising up this kind of somewhat finished piece, though it does have a little bit of crude marks and such, as he opens it up and then pulls another piece of metal, this long pen-like thing, out of a box next to him, and he slides it in between these two pieces of metal that you can now see have rings upon it. And you recognize that he just finished hammering out a hinge that could use for something like that. Somewhat fine work that you can recognize from afar. Except for Tara.
Yep.
Do you want to go and talk to them, or are we just gonna stand here at the doorway?
Yeah, well, we want to talk to them. He sounds busy, though.
All blacksmiths are busy. They're too busy creating weapons for the oncoming festivities. But this is important, so let's just get it over with. And yeah, I'll just approach and call over to whichever blacksmith looks least busy at the moment.
Okay. And if you look at that handout I just gave y'all,
Yeah.
the bottom one is actually the Harbor Moon that I spoke of.
Gotcha.
So you move over
yeah.
towards this this door, and one thing you'll note on the side too is that the Harbor Moon itself, it's a very large piece. One of those copper pieces would fit inside that little diamond on it. You see that the intricacy of the dual griffins and such are all inlaid into this sign that's made of metal. It seems to be pretty well made. But you make your way forward, seeing this dwarf, being the lone person. You do see, well, not lone person, you see a couple of assistants working back, quenching metal and such in the back. But obviously the forge master standing before you, you move up to him and greet him and such, and he turns around and looking at you, kind of tilting his head, and you see him looking over you all, not answering you. At first, he just seems to be staring you up and down. He looks at Ignalia's armor and kind of nods approvingly, and looks at the rest of you, kind of tilting his eyes and such. And he walks over towards Stone Skull and kind of grabs his arm and starts to turn him around. He looks up at the skull, the hilt of Gleam Edge, resting on his back, and the rest of you see him kind of nodding. And he lets go of Stone Skull and then boards back. And you see him taking off his gloves and dusting his hands off. He says, "Ah, what can I do for you?"
I'm gonna reach back and slowly pull Gleam Edge from the hilt and place it on the table in front of him and say, "This requires silvering. Is this something that you can do here?"
With that, he tilts his head. He says, I can silver a weapon if need be." With that, he walks over towards Gleam Edge, with you kind of setting it down on a table in front of him, and he runs his hand along the blade with two fingers, looking at it. And then you see him look down kind of curiously at his fingers and then look at the sword. Says, "Special one, is it? Maybe. If it'll let me, I could probably silver it."
If it does not, I also have another sword that we can use.
With that, you see him nodding. Says, I can do that one as well, if it's not one special. That's something you'll have to work out for yourselves, though. Let me know what he decides." And with that, he turns just to be, not even waiting for an answer, he turns away from Stone Skull and turns back over to the rest of you. Well, who else? What else?
I hold out my +1 longsword. Special, but without
Special
feelings to consider. This is not my special one. This is just a generic +1 longsword I have.
Just a +1. Okay. So with that, you pull it out from its sheath or bag or whatever you got it held in. Then with that, you set it back on the table in front of him. You see him kind of moving some various odds and ends, some knives and such away from it. You see, just starting to look around now, you see an assortment of almost everything inside this guy's shop. Armor, weapons, trinkets. You see necklaces laying over, made of pure metal, but ingrained and shaped in very small and meticulous patterns. You see more things like what he made before, these hinges and such. With that, he moves over and does much the same, runs his hand down the edge of the sword, or the side of the sword, not the sharp edge. He's not stupid. Runs it down and looks at it. He says, I can do that. Take a little time, but I can do that.
How much time would you need?
My magical sword doesn't. He doesn't want to do my sword.
With that, he looks around and says, well, depending on how many you want, it'd take a little bit more time and some coin, of course, but you knew that already, otherwise you wouldn't be here. That he thinks, who all, he kind of smiles, who all would need silver today?
I need a weapon made. But I will go see the weaponsmith so that you can silver their weapons and we can have my weapon made at the same time.
With that, he kind of shuffles over to Tara. He says, maid, I could do that too, girl, if you allow me. Of course, I mean, I wouldn't want to deter you from the other patrons here running their shops, but I am able to craft weapons as well, depending on what you need.
I'm going to point at the hunk of silver ore that I imagine Mr. Pebbles is being made to carry. And say, I just need a giant hammer made out of that.
As you point over to the ore, he kind of tilts his head to the side and he says, I brought your own ore. With that, he walks over to Mr. Pebbles and kind of eyes him. Strange construct you have here. But and with that, he reaches up and you see him, everybody, Tara sees him kind of running a finger down the ore, and then he looks at it and then actually sticks his fingers against his tongue and licks his fingers and then does his mouth a little bit for a second. He's like, met my brethren down at the Troll Mountains, have you?
No, we met them on the road. But we did them a favor. We paid them in exchange for this ore.
Well, on the road, that's unlike them. They usually stay in their caves. Oh,
Yeah,
no
there
matter.
were some problems at the caves. They handled it. Don't worry.
Of course they did. They're dwarves, after all.
It was quite nice of them to deliver us that prisoner.
That you see him raising an eyebrow, and he, kind of flippantly tossed a hand up. I don't want to know. Anyway, weapon made, weapon silvered, and with that, he looks over at Steve and Rogar. Says, "And you? Do you need anything today?"
I'd like my rapier either silvered or a new one made of silver.
With that, he walks over to you, Rogar, and kind of motions for you to pull the weapon out. And as you do so, you set it down on the table next to the other ones. And he does his trademark, kind of running his fingers down the blade. And he nods. He says, I could do this one. It doesn't disagree with me, as it were. Unlike that's one. And he kind of motions over to Gleam Edge. That's one. He doesn't like me too much, unfortunately, my friend. You may have to do some convincing to let me touch him.
Very well. And pick up Gleam Edge and kind of head to the back corner of the chamber. Is there like a bench or anything I could sit at and have a heartfelt conversation with the sword?
Okay.
In the middle of this space where everybody is watching, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do this a little differently. I'm gonna whisper you, but you're gonna talk back to me.
Okay.
Because this will be fun. All right. So as Stone Skull vanishes back, Stone Skull moves back to the bench.
Unpopped popcorn so I can just make it in my hand.
Just eat it as you're watching this go on. So Stone Skull sits back and begins having this conversation. This dwarf whose name you learned is Ellengil begins offering out and everything. He says, to do them all at once is going to take at least 10 days to go through the process correctly. He says he can speed rush it, but there's always a chance that the weapon could ship and fail, and he's not going to send anything out there. If you want a speed order, go to somebody else.
Stone Skull replies, "It's not you. It's I need to be able to hit things, and well, you don't always hit everything that I need you to hit."
Pretty sure me and Ignali are both laughing out loud. Okay, so, I mean, we depart in a few days, so if it'll take that long to complete the process, then I suppose we'll need to leave that way. And I'll show him the writ just to say, as urgently as possible would be preferred, but I'd rather not rush the quality.
I can pick mine up when we get back.
Well, no.
With that, the dwarf nods. He says, "Very well, I can take care of it. Like I said, 10 days or so. I can hold them as long as needed. If you're venturing out and such, I can tell that you've gone out and about before based on your armor and such. It's very nice armor you have, lady." And he kind of points over to you, Ignalia.
Oh, why, thank you. It's fairly new to me as well. And I'll just recall the man who made it.
Precisely.
So Stone Skull says, "No, you've got it all wrong. It's not your fault. Listen, I'm just trying to make things better for all of us."
I'm not sure what I'm more surprised at. The fact that the sword can feel remorse, or that Stone Skull's, trying to comfort him.
Yep, I'm pretty sure the big guy's finally lost it.
I don't think he ever had it.
What is it?
He kind of clears his throat and says, "Well, no, of course I haven't, but let's be honest. If I don't do this, then I'm going to be using another weapon, and I know how you get when I use something else."
This is literally that +3 Vorpal picture whoever linked earlier.
He kind of grins and says, "Well, that's very much appreciated, and yes, I'll make sure that he treats you properly. Don't worry."
And with that, the Ellen Grell turns around and says, "Well, has he come to terms with it?"
"Yes, but I'm gonna watch very closely, and if you do anything to harm my sword, well, let's just be honest, I'm not going to take too kindly to it. Nor will the sword, apparently."
As you say that, Ellen Grell busts out laughing. Says, "Ha, me hurt it. Oh, you have much to learn, boy. There's nothing I could do in my power to hurt that sword. No. That thing is old and powerful. You," and he kind of tilts his head and still with that big grin kind of shining through his black beard. He says, "You don't realize, do you?"
Realize what?
With that, his grin, just widens a bit, and he says, his mouth opens a bit. He's like, well, who am I to spoil the surprise? You'll learn eventually, I suppose. Bring it over here."
And he'll walk over and place it onto the table.
With that, he sees all the weapons in front of him. He says, "Well, with all of these here, great sword, rapier, He looks at Tara. Whatever it is you want, and then longsword. Once again, 10 days. 10 days should suffice to silver all of these weapons, barring any unforeseen circumstances like me going up in flames or being murdered by a sentient greatsword.
10 days.
That'd be nuts. Yes, 10 days.
And the cost.
With that, he... No, shit.
Isn't it like 500 silver plus the cost
It's
to get it done?
It's 100 gold for the silver and the basically the time to make it.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of silver that Tara was able to purchase will be enough for 2 weapons. Any 2. Or, well, no. It'll be any 2 except for the greatsword. The greatsword.
He's making a hammer, a maul out of that. Or for me.
Oh, yeah. You said just straight up hammer. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind then. Yeah, no, that'll be enough for 1. Maybe the excess could be used for the rapier or something, but otherwise he's going to use almost all of it to make a hammer out of the silver ore.
Yeah.
So, with that, he nods. He says, "Okay, so the price, if you're all paying together, as it were, it will be." Kind of calculates in his head for a few moments. 500 gold for everything. I'm cutting you a bargain because I like you. You're nice, and your sword intrigues me. There, big fella.
Golly, didn't Leosin say that he was going to take care of this?
That's one way to interpret his words. I do like how you think.
I don't believe that he's going to take care of all of this.
Just gonna throw out there, good luck.
Had they said anything we need to, help them out on their mission?
I'm gonna offer 50 platinum for it and tell the others to give him additional compensation as you see fit.
No, you seem like a man of good taste. What would you say to one of these? And I'll pull out the white dragon scale I've got left.
With that, he looks at it and kind of tilts his head and he says, fine things those dragon scales are, but one single one, not extremely useful for my purposes, unfortunately. I could offer you some coin for it, a few dragons, but that's about it.
No, I'd rather keep it for the sentiment. It's got a little bit of blood on it anyway. Oh, but
I couldn't imagine why.
in addition to, payment, perhaps you'd like a nice silk robe. And I start just pulling out different sizes for the ones who...
As you do that, he kind of looks at you and shakes his head. No, my dear, I do not require any of that.
No,
Thank you, though. So, with that, he turns around to Stone Skull and everyone else. 500 dragons for this all?
Yes. One moment, and I'm going to head out because obviously I'm going to have to get the currency transferred. Is that correct? I can't just hand him 50 platinum and be done. He'd want the currency exchanged, would be my guess.
Pick.
Sir, this one is a fine, noble purple.
He said everybody's a robot form. Boop. Beep, boop, beep.
Is anybody there?
Yes, can you hear us?
Robot.
Oh, God.
Hello.
Robot.
Shit. Sec.
Wait, was I too convincing?
Everything's fine on my end.
Yeah, it's fine on my end too.
Well, I'm noticing that the voice connected gauge
Yeah.
is like occasionally flickering red, and that's when he's coming in like a robot.
Mm-hmm. It was earlier, but it stopped since he's been having his issues and leaving.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello,
Robot.
this is
Yay!
Skynet.
Hello?
Hey.
Am I still a robot?
No.
No, you're good right now.
Yay, cool.
No,
Oh,
I was
alright.
I was asking if I needed to go to the bank and get currency exchanged from platinum to dragons.
With that, Ellengel just shakes his head. He says, "Nah, not necessary. I'll take it all the same. I burn it down mostly anyway and make bars, so no big deal. I can take it all as whatever currency you have, as long as it meets the exchange rate set by the Guild of Waterdeep counts or currency and such." And he kind of waves his hand up very dismissively. He says, "It'll be fine. Whatever you have will work, as long as it totals up to 500 gold, of course."
Yep. So yeah, I would hand him the 50 platinum for it.
With that, he nods. He looks down and kind of testing the weight of the bag and such, and nods, satisfied. Sets it down next to the blades and such. He says, "All right, very well. Return to me within or after 10 days, whatever that might be, and I'll have them ready for you."
Sounds good. Thank you. Kind of nods and backs away. He's obviously going to be checking in often to make sure everything's going accordingly.
I mean, do we have 10 days for you to be without Clean Edge? Are you going to be okay if we travel without it?
I have the Langradossa's greatsword. It's not as powerful, but it's only 1 point of damage and one. It's just minus the +1 stuff,
Gotcha.
And it doesn't nag you.
and it doesn't nag me.
That's how we're doing that interaction from now on,
Mhm.
by the way,
Yes,
because
we
that's
are.
hilarious.
Yes, it is.
Listen, from how we heard that, yeah, that's a total nagger.
All
Your
right.
sword calls you when you're at the bar all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You never take me out. You always go to the bar.
See
Listen,
very
he
well.
was- Gleam Edge was very concerned. All right.
See very well. You dress up pretty, and people take you out places.
Take you
I
out
will-
places and let me kill people.
Mhm.
I will give the dwarf another platinum piece as a tip. And yeah, then I'll leave.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
I mean, I need other stuff in town.
Okay. Alrighty. So, just take a note of that. Of what you need. Just goes out to everybody. So as you set off from Erengel's shop, whose name I need to probably write down.
His name is Erlen Gale or Erlen Dale?
It was Aragorn.
Ah, Aragorn. Ah, hello.
Earlingo.
Unnecessary ease. Great.
Dwarves, yes. All right. So as you all set off from Erengel's shop, all of your weapons left behind, knowing you pretty much gave them up for 10 days. Whether or not you decide to set off immediately or tell the council to shove it, you're waiting. It's up to you, really. You find yourself within the City of Splendors. You've only spent about an hour or so in between your talk with Leo's and as well as venturing out into the city itself and proffering somebody to silver your weapons for a substantial price. 500 gold's nothing to sneeze at. That's a good amount of money. But y'all are pretty well off after finding some, hordes of dragons and such. So you find yourself moving out into Waterdeep to do some more shopping and such. But you're at a kind of place of safety at this point before your next big adventure comes up, and that is where we're going to go ahead and end the session for the evening
Yay. All right.
before this turns into a 2-hour shot.
Yeah. Because it could.
Yes, it could. That's why I'm like, all right, we're going to stop at one place. Okay, cool. I was ready for this place.
All right, I'll be right back. All right. So, interesting night. We made it back to Waterdeep. We were able to drop off our prisoners. We survived the dragon attack. And now we have silvered weapons being made. So, all in all, a pretty productive night. Let me do this, I guess. I find some music, maybe this. I don't know. What does it sound like? There it goes. Cool. So that's music. Yeah, let's go over and say hi to some people, alright? Go over to Nerd Immersion. They're doing some actual play games, so go have some fun with them. I will see you guys very soon. Tomorrow, actually, Civil War, The Rise of Tyrus begins 7:30. I'll see you then. Have a good night.